All right, folks. This folks, thank you, folks, for coming through. This is me, Lloyd George, aka the Emperor of Female Bodybuilding Talk, coming to you live on YouTube. Folks, February's about over, and time is flying, folks. Time is flying since the new year just started, and we're just a few days away from another month. And this coming weekend is the Arnold Schwarzenegger Classic. And here I say about that, fuck Arnold. So I'm kind of, I love the Arnold. I grew up watching the movies. I the Terminator and Schwarzenegger. I used to remember, he's just like, get to the chopper. But his politics when it comes to women's bodybuilding, it's just in general, I'm not a fan of. I understand that is not, but the fact is, it was a great show. People forget that the Mr. International predate the Arnold Schwarzenegger Classic. That's in history. But anyway, we're not going to get too much of that, but I will do content of the young lady who I interview, who I'm actually doing in fitness. I will talk about her, but not too much on any division because there's nothing much to focus on. So anyway, here we have a young gentleman who's been around for quite some time. He is a content maker. He's probably one of the most popular guys in the sport of bodybuilding right now. This is the amazing Mr. Ryan Johnson. And Ryan, as you know, is the host of DD on the Spot. And Dee has been around for quite some time. He has interviewed ladies that I follow. Some ladies have interviewed. Some of the ladies I interviewed, I got from his idea because really, I've been doing this a little bit longer, but he has really been on his game about this stuff. And I respect his content. I respect what he puts out. So right now we're going to talk to him, share his story, and see what he's up to, and he'll give his thoughts. So, young Mr. Johnson, I would like to ask you, as I ask some of my lovely ladies, what got you into this sport, as I considered muscle and masculinity? Please share.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, I appreciate everything that you said, and yeah, I agree with it. I'm one of the originals. No, I'm just kidding. I will never take that crown. I'll never do that. I just I got lucky in being able that I can talk to people and just get the best out of them. I mean, I just did a podcast today, and they said you're really easy to talk to, and it's a blessing and a curse. I'll be the guy at a party that that one lonely person will then talk to the entire time, but I'm too kind to not be like, okay, let's I enjoyed talking to you, but so what really got me started into this was I had always been in shape growing up. I had played baseball, basketball, and football growing up in Minnesota, and I was going to go play baseball at the University of Minnesota. I was a pitcher in high school, and going into my senior year, well, actually it was the first game of my senior year, I chipped a part of my throwing elbow, so I wasn't able to play sports in college. So when I went to college, I had all this free time. I lost a full ride scholarship. Let's talk about that so I can start crying again. No, I'm just kidding. But I'd always been in shape. Like, let's be honest, those high school workouts that they have you do where it's like go do lat pull downs with 5 other guys for half an hour, and you're like, yeah, coach, we did real great. We're really going to win today. But I really started taking things seriously in school. In college, I got ridiculously lean and in shape. I was going to compete in a bodybuilding show, but then I found out the hard way, along with a lot of other people that get into this sport, that I got to have my hot dogs, hamburgers, and beer every once in a while. So I went on prep in solidarity with a friend of mine who was competing, and I told him, listen, this is just to see how long I last before I eventually cave in, because I don't think I'm going to make it on stage. It was either 5 or 6 weeks. I'll go with 5.5 weeks. That I sent him a video of me eating 3 hot dogs, saying, "Best of luck as you continue on this journey." But I'm gonna have to bow out. But it made me gain a huge amount of respect for the people that do this lifestyle. And I still stayed active. I'm not nearly as active as I used to be, just because with life and jobs and everything, it's hard if you don't have that that insane edge of desire that so many guests that I talk to have. But about 2018 January, I thought, hey, I should start a podcast. That seems like that would be simple enough. How little I knew back then. Started with up-and-coming bands and musicians, and after about 100 of those, I thought, hey, all these health and fitness people that I've been having on I've been following since high school, I should have some of them come on and share their journey. And yeah, it really just took off from there. And then I also do a celebrity podcast, and then I do a history podcast as well, because I was a history minor. So I do a lot. But yeah, I enjoy having the bodybuilders on and sharing their stories, because they're so undervalued. No one really talks about them, especially the female side, which is so the funny reason why I actually started with the female side is because I figured this is what 2 bros sound like when they're talking about working out. Sup, bro? How much can you lift? And that's the entire conversation. I had about 2 male bodybuilders on when I first started doing the bodybuilding thing, and it was some of the blandest conversations ever. So I was like, women, I'm not insulting women here, but they can talk. So it's not, they're a lot more natural to have conversations with, and it's a lot more inventive. So I actually started with that, and then I grew to care about a lot of the guests that I have on, and just the sport, and that's what started. And it's 5.5 years going on, 6 years later, still going strong.
That's pretty good, because you know what? I can tell you the truth that women do, because I used to have quite a few jobs. My first job was when I was 16. I was working at a gas station. I did that almost 15 years. I was a stock boy, then I was a cashier, then I was the assistant general manager. Then I worked 13 years in textiles. I worked with women all day, from 7 o'clock in the morning to 6 o'clock to the in the evening, and then I had a job for a few years, and you guys who follow me know that I used to work as we call it, a gentleman's club. If they were gentlemen, and I was around women a lot, and women when they feel comfortable with a man, they would talk to you. You don't feel like you're not too creepy and too like, just sometimes like it was a crazy story. I remember one time, this one girl, true story. She hadn't come to the club for like maybe a year or so, and and we saw each other, and I said, "Hey, how you doing?" Hug her, and like I used to do this crazy little hug. You know, it was like 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 you ever like and and when I hugged, you said, "Where's my hug?" I said, okay, okay, yes." I gave the hug. So it's just it's good when you make a woman feel comfortable and they can laugh and enjoy themselves.
Well, it's something that I developed too, because look at the way that I look right now. I'm, barely lack of sleep. I look like someone that's going to straight up murder you, like on the sidewalk somewhere. So I think that's what, and also being tall as I am and, bigger as I am too, you kind of got to develop that personality to make people feel comfortable. And that one of my favorite reactions still to this day is when I'll be at a shopping mart or anything like that. And I'll see a woman, struggling for something. And then they'll look at me and they'll be like, oh, it's intimidating because this guy's tall and he doesn't look like the nicest guy. The minute I open my mouth to just see the relief on their face when they're like, oh, thank God. I'm just like, oh, can I help you with that, ma'am? And then they're just like, oh my God, like their guard is completely off. That's still one of my favorite things to see to this day. And that's one thing that I think, is so important is making these women especially feel comfortable in these interviews too, because, they put up with a lot of stuff. We're going to be completely honest. And a lot of times where they don't feel comfortable. So if I can make any space for them where they just feel like they're able to express themselves and feel fine, even if it's for the hour that we're recording, I mean, more power to it, because I think that that's something that's severely lacking in this industry and it needs to be definitely brought to the forefront and helped out.
Yeah, because truthfully, these ladies they put in a lot of time and work into this sport and don't get much consideration. As we all know that the men's division, is as I say, like this is the bottom bitch. It's the one that gets a lot more attention, a lot more money. And these ladies, they are just putting so much work into it. Maybe not as much as the men is come to like working out and training, but they do want to be proven and recognized as athletes. We got here my man here. He also a content creator. He's just did interviews with some ladies. This is my man KL the Wonder says this is epic. Thank you, brother.
He already said
Uh,
you got to have a shave, man. What's up with that? You look good.
yeah,
Is he talking to me or is he talking to you? Because it says
talking to me.
George, you need
Yeah,
to have a shave, and I was like, are you kidding me? Look at this claw,
yeah,
dude.
yeah. He said, "Yeah, I got shit because you know what? It's that time of year. It's getting a little warmer now. It's time for me to get rid of the because I was sometimes with me. I just with me my hair. I just put a comb through it and just that's it. And I'm just not. But every so often I gotta get it because I get to the point where I look like I get a little woolly mammoth. But then when it starts getting warmer, it's time to take off the like any animal. Try to take off the the fur because it's time to start to molten. So, and
Well,
folks, if
you gotta have it here until at least April, probably May. You gotta have a beard here just to survive the cold. Now, like I said, fortunately, it's been not as cold as I would like it to be, but. So yeah, thank you for not pointing out my beard at least, because it is a safety hazard up here, really honestly.
yeah, because he's up there in Minnesota. I know a guy who used to live in Minnesota. He's still up there. We used to live around here. We went to school together. My niece, my oldest niece, she was stationed up in Buffalo,
Okay.
and she was in the army. It's my niece Marlena. Shout out to her. She was stationed up there. She told me that first snow, she's only like 5'4". It was up to her chest. And I mean, it's just, and you got to think about, she grew up around here in North Carolina. It rarely ever get past your ankles when it snows sometimes. But, it's just some big discovery. So, folks, if you've been following Ryan has been posting some stuff and really get to the point of what's going on. Because you know what? I talk about this. I do like on Must Talk Mondays, we talk about how really what's going on. It can be frustrating. And I really support him because the fact is there's some truth to it. Sometimes people this is a choice. Some people would rather hear a pretty lie than ugly truth. And sometimes the ugly truth is better to hear. So folks, we're gonna go into Ryan's IG, go post, go look at some of these videos and get your thoughts. But guys, and I say this to you. And no fish to Ryan, but I know some guys out there because he's mentioned it before. Guys, no dick pics. This is crazy. Why are you sending to
It depends. It honestly depends. Like the ones that I've gotten are not even nice looking ones, but I mean, like I don't swing that way, but it's like if you have a massive hog like a horse, then it's fine. Like if you have like a 2-footer, I'm fine with that. But it's like again, I don't swing that way. But if you have one that's like impressive, then go ahead and send it. But like the ones that I've been getting are pedestrian guys. I mean, it's like why are you even going to send that? I'd be too embarrassed to ever even show that thing to anyone. But I mean, I guess the self-confidence for these guys is all right. But yeah, George, isn't it funny though? Even though we post stuff about clearly showing that we are not women, that we get some guys that think that we are women, and then they'll comment to us like we are the guests that we post. I always find that to be one of the most hilarious things ever, where I get people thinking that I'm like an Andrea Shaw or I'm a Sherry Priami, and then they'll send me stuff that they would send to her, and it's like, I can forward it to them, I guess, but
I hadn't have it happen to me. But I remember I interviewed Sean Nelson. You know Sean Nelson. He does photos for her biceps, and he also has his own photo sessions. He mentioned that to me in an interview. How he posts stuff. He posts a lot of videos and pics on his social media, and he gets it from guys. But anything like this, guy, you said something, ladies. We could take some PTA pics, pussy titties and ass pics. We'll take that. But nothing from no dudes. I'm like this. It may not be the '80s, but I'm still down with the ladies.
They can send it to me if they want, but I really, I'm in a relationship right now. I'd get in trouble if I got caught with that anyways. So,
so I don't have to worry about. I don't got no woman. My woman was my mama. She's gone. So we're gonna jump into social media for a bit here, and here, we're gonna pop it here. We're gonna wait a minute, and we're gonna bring it up here, and here it is, and we're gonna, like I said, he puts out some good content. Some stuff that's really funny and very inspirational. But we're gonna focus on his last couple of videos he has put out. We go with these ones here. And what do you say?
Go ahead. And I recorded this in my shed out back.
Hey guys, Ryan here.
9 o'clock.
I'm here to talk about a subject that no one wants to talk about, but it needs to be talked about because this is getting absolutely ridiculous. Out of all the guests I've had on, 4 of them have died in the last 8 months, and we know why. They may not discuss it. The people, their relatives may not say anything about it, but we know. They were all under the age of 40, and I just don't understand how this sport can be so silent about this issue. I have been covering this sport for over 5 years. I've interviewed over 500 bodybuilders and people in the community, and I can't be silent anymore. This sport is going down such a dangerous road that, honestly, I don't see how it can come out of in any way, shape, or form positively. We have coaches that overprescribe people with so many drugs that I'm surprised that more aren't dead. Truly, I'm surprised that 30 or 40 of my guests that I have on aren't dead right now. It's shocking to me, and it just proves how freaky the human body can be that some of these people are still alive. And it's never talked about. We have coaches out there who I can't even name because God forbid they sue me, even though these people deserve to burn in hell. And we all know who I'm talking about, that have overprescribed their competitors to such an extreme that, I mean, it's malpractice at the biggest extent, but they're not even doctors, and most of them don't even know anything about the drugs that they're giving away anyways in the first place. And I'm just sick and tired of these people getting away with it, and people just saying, oh, yeah, it's the competitor's choice. Well, yes, obviously it is the competitor's choice to take the drugs. But let's be honest, some of these people aren't of the most sound mind, especially when they're getting ready for a show. And I'm not excusing their behavior at all. This is definitely a two-way street. You have to be prescribed them by your trainer or your coach, and then you take them. But we got to talk about this, guys. And the physiques are just getting freakier and freakier, and more death is going to happen because no one has the guts to say anything about it. After a competitor dies, oh, we'll just hear, oh, my God, yeah, she was great, blah, 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 blah. There won't be anything about the extreme drug uses that they're taking and how this sport has just gone berserk when it comes to drug usage. I mean, obviously, there was always drug usage. Always. And I'm not going to be the first person to deny it. I know that almost every guest that I've had on has taken something. And even the ones that claim that they're natural, I know that they're lying. The vast majority. There might be 1 or 2 that are actually natural. And I'm not calling anyone out by saying that, but I know. We have discussions after we're done recording where people talk about what they do. And it is shocking the amount that a lot of people do. And a lot of people just don't understand that. And I just don't know how I can keep supporting this with the path that this sport is going down, where so many more people are going to die. And it's just for something, a little trophy that you get on stage. Now, obviously, I'm not going to pretend to understand the psychology of a lot of these people that I have on. They're great people. They are fantastic at what they do, and clearly their dedication, their drive is one of the most inspiring things I've ever seen in my entire life. But we also need to have a talk about how these people are willing to sacrifice so much of themselves just for something that in the general public, they say, you know what, this is just ridiculous. Why are you doing this? But I'm rambling here, obviously, because I'm a little upset still about just how this has been treated, but people need to speak up more about it. I don't want to be the one person on here doing this. And now I know that these other podcasts, and I know a lot of these competitors, you don't want to upset the coaches. You don't want to upset the people that are you're competing against, the judges. You don't want to be, oh my God, I don't want to complain. Well, it's complacency at this point. We have Olympia winners that won't say anything. You won the Olympia a couple times. What are they going to do? Not award it to you? Oh, that's going to look really shady if they don't do that. People need to speak up more. I don't want to be the only one. I know this is a selfish sport, and I know a lot of people are selfish that do this sport. But this is just getting ridiculous, guys. This is a freak show now. It was not meant to be a freak show. This was something that was meant to better yourself, and a lot of people get into this lifestyle to better themselves. But obviously, they take things to an extreme, and they are on so many things that I just can't fathom, like I said, how they're still alive. But we need to have a serious discussion about this. Things need to change, and I'm not going to lie. In the general public, this sport is a laughingstock. It is. It is 100% a laughingstock. And I can totally see why. But we need to have a conversation about the extreme protocols that are going on. And I know people are going to say, oh, this is their choice, obviously. And this is just, it's a part of the sport. It doesn't have to be. You don't have to go looking like a dude. You have to go looking like John Batista on stage if you're a women's bodybuilder. You don't have to. Okay? The amount of stuff that goes on behind the scenes that if anyone knew about this sport, they would not be a fan of the sport. Things need to change. And we got to have a conversation about it. I could get way more into it. I could cancel myself. That's going to come at a later time if nothing really changes. And I know this won't do anything. This is just me ranting, saying we need to hold coaches accountable. We need to hold people accountable. We also need to hold the sport accountable. The judges should be making changes. I mean, guys, I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm spitballing here. I just pressed the record button, but this is just ridiculous. This is not even the sport that it was 5 years ago when I first started this, and it's gotten worse. And I don't know how it's going to get any better. This sport is going to be dead within 5 years, like I predicted so many times. And no one wants to speak up about it. I don't know what else to say. Well, there's the end of my rant right there. And, yeah, more rants to come.
Well, yes, he has more rants. We're going to go through all of them. We're going to his last one here. And this one here. This is one you recently heard.
Hey, everyone. Ryan Johnson here. And before we get into this last controversial thing that I want to talk about, I just want to thank everyone for the outpour of support and messages that I've gotten. I would have never expected in a million years that this many people would have cared. And it goes to show that just so many people out there really want to see the sport thrive and be better. And I'm glad to provide the 0.00001% of, anything that I could do to help raise awareness. And again, thank you so much. And before I even, get into this topic, I do want to say that I respect and appreciate anyone that steps on that stage, regardless of anything that I might be saying on here. You were amazing for what you guys put your body through and what you guys do. And I mean, after 5 years, obviously, I know a lot of the ins and outs of this, and it still is impressive to me to this day. But this is not just a bodybuilding division issue. And that's one thing that I should have clarified when I posted my bodybuilding division thing. This is every division. I mean, I have talked to a figure competitor who is on the lower side age-wise, and they're on 200 milligrams of tren. I have talked to a bikini competitor that's on D-ball. Not going to name names because I don't want to out someone like that, but it's happening. I've got their permission to say that. I'm not just, outing someone, which obviously I'm not. I got my Trump hands here, everyone, which, God. But anyway, this is something that's way more than the bodybuilding division. I have had dozens of guests when I talk to them off record say, if you were to take the blood work of every competitor that stepped on the Olympia stage, female-wise, if you were to take, all the blood work from all the bodybuilders, physique, figure, wellness, bikini, yada, yada. And let's say that there was, 60 total that you took and got their blood work tested. You get the results back saying probably 55 out of those 60, you took the results of 55 men competing in a bodybuilding show. Now, it's probably going to be more than 55, if I'm being completely honest. I'm just saying 55 in case one of the 5, comes at me and says, why are you saying this? And I'd say, well, you're one of the 5. And again, I'm not insinuating that you're a male. I am just saying that your blood work says that you have the blood work of someone who is a man. That's what the computer is going to say, that you have the blood work of a male. I'm not saying that you are a male. I am not implying that. I am just saying that just goes to show how much abuse happens in this sport, that your blood work is showing that you have the blood work of a male. Again, you are not a male. You are a woman. You are not. I feel like I really got to get that out there. I am not trying to insult everyone. I am just being honest when what a computer would say that has no feelings or no biases. And that just goes to show what needs to be changed in the sport. It is not just a bodybuilding division thing. All these other divisions need a lot of work as well, especially physique, figure, bikini, wellness, all of them. They need work done. And part of it is also the coaches that, prescribe these things. And I'm not going to name names. Let's just call some of these coaches, we'll call them Helby Harns and Dane Bugley. We'll call them that. They're two of the main contributors that have, their prescriptions have resulted in a lot of people dying, and they have not been held accountable for them. And that's all I'm going to say really about that. You can't really come at me. I didn't really say your real names. But anyway, there's just so much more stuff that needs to be done in order. And a lot of it is awareness. We need to talk about some of these things, like the fact that this drug abuse is just so rampant. That's the only way that anything's going to change. And I know it's not going to change. This video is not going to change anything. Any of the awareness that I bring, really all I'm doing here is that I'm trying to get one less person to slowly kill themselves, which is what you're honestly doing if you compete in the upper echelons of bodybuilding and you take what I'm hearing that these people take. You're just slowly killing yourself. And I hate to see that happen. I have come to admire and respect every single guest that I have on, and I would just be remiss if I did absolutely nothing to try and stop these people from doing something catastrophic. But again, I'm only one person. I can't control what people do. If they're going to want to do it, they'll do it. That's just unfortunately the sad truth. I've gotten a response to one of my videos that I posted earlier on my YouTube, where I was basically a compilation of all the stuff that I did, where someone said, you know what? They'll do it if they want. And that's true. I mean, there's nothing that I can do to stop them. But I just want to raise awareness because, unfortunately, one of the things that is a key contribution to this happening is lack of knowledge. I've said this, 100 times on my podcast, but everyone, do your research when you get a coach. Don't just blindly take whatever a coach wants you to take. Question your coach. Ask questions. Don't just say yes, sir, and do whatever they want, because let's be honest, a lot of these coaches out there, they don't care about your health and wellness as long as you're giving them trophies so that they can post on their Instagram and social media. I have this many winners. Look at how much winning I have, just so that they can make more money. Like a lot of things in the evils in this life, it's all about money. Now, this isn't going into a rant about capitalism or anything like that, because God forbid I am a capitalist. But anyway, this is just going to show that, I mean, these guys are willing to push your body to the extremes, and they won't care. They honestly don't care. They might care about one or two of the guests that they have. They might care about one or two of the competitors that they have. That's the honest to God truth. And they have hundreds of them. They'll give you the same protocols, and they'll just use you for your money and for your trophies if you end up winning one. Just so they can say, hey, I have this many guests that have won. Anyway, that's one thing that needs to be changed. You need to actually do your homework. And I know a lot of people are doing their homework now, which is something that I'm actually excited about, and I'm impressed about it. We also need to not, like I was talking about before, not let people that are doing a bad image of this sport on the stage and give it a bad image. And everyone knows what I'm talking about. There is a certain bodybuilder from a certain part of Europe that, they should not be competing. And everyone knows what I'm talking about. I'm not going to name names because that's rude, but you should not be competing. Anytime that you step on stage with any other bodybuilders that you're on stage with them, it's an insult to those people that are on stage with you, because you have just taken things to such an extreme that it's not female bodybuilding. I'm sorry. It's just not. That needs to be changed as well. Those handful of people that have, gone to such an extreme where it is not female bodybuilding anymore, they need to be gently pulled aside and just saying, hey, it's not for you. Go do something else with it. Again, I have nothing against them personally. I am just thinking in general of how to make this sport, this lifestyle, whatever you want to call it, how to make it more safe for people. And I know that I can't make everything safe. Long rant short, everyone. But I mean, there's just so much more that needs to be done. I don't have all the answers. I'm just someone that's talked to hundreds of people and has really just Guys, I'm ranting here just because I'm gonna be honest. I've worked 2 shifts tonight and I'm just dead tired, as you can tell. But I'm just someone that's been talking to guests and hearing their stories, and that's one thing that I honestly think should be done more. Listen to these competitors. Don't just brush them aside. Listen to their stories, because a lot of these guests have actual ideas that are great ideas that I would love to hear. And I mean, this is all just about starting a discussion. Anyone who wants to comment down below what you think can be done about the bodybuilding world. I'm not even going to say division because it's more than the division. Anyone that wants to comment, feel free to comment. As long as you're not like, asking me for pictures of my penis, which, that's a service fee of a decent amount of money if you want to see that. But again, everyone just want to start a conversation. And this is going to be my last of 2 rants that I do on here. And I'm just glad and thank everyone for supporting this as much as they do. And take care, everyone.
That was. We gotta give this young man a clap.
The price has risen for the picks, by the way. It was at like $500, but it's been risen to $1,000 now, just because of the demand has just been so high after that.
Yeah, and looking here, there's some stuff like you mentioned about muscle.
We can talk about this site. We can talk about this site for 10 hours if you want to, man. I got
I go to that site. Sometimes I get pictures from it and videos because it's easily accessible. But I understand. I know some ladies who don't want to be on it. That's your choice, I expect. But others, more ladies out there want to sell their image. And also the stuff is going on as you posted this. And this is I saw this first one about the dude who that blew my mind, because at first I thought it was a woman that just took off her top or something, or they Photoshop her top, and I just what? And I don't get too much in that because the fact is it's a quagmire. Because it is some ladies they're worried about if we start seeing men who are trans. I know there was a lady who was she lived as a man, but she competed as a bodybuilder because she was really still a woman. I interviewed a lady who was trained by, they had the same coach at one point, but she, last time I heard, she's fully a man now. Here we got here from a man.
Well, I can just tell you, I can share with you about a dozen people that have competed in Canada that were born biologically men, and they've competed in women's. I'm not going to out them on here and name names, but it is more than you would imagine. But that's a whole different conversation to have too. And I totally understand, why people are shy away from that, especially in the climate that we're in today. But I said to point that out there, that for people who think that it's not an issue yet, it's been happening for years, and it's more people than you would have imagined.
Yeah. Here, this is from man KL1. He says, Ryan, don't say that, bruh, if you don't swing that way. Also, KL says, I get people sending me news sites. Yeah, that's this. Also, he has asked the question. This is the question I asked. Why do you call yourself DD on the spot? Where did that come from?
So this is a question that I've answered only a handful of times on my podcast. So in college, since I was really into the working out and I wanted to really, eventually maybe compete or something like that, I had a thing where I would not drink at all on Fridays. I would be the designated driver on Fridays, so they would call me the DD on the spot. I would get the text. Now, Saturdays, I went hog wild, if I'm going to be completely honest. I would make up for the lack of stuff that I did on Friday on Saturdays, especially after football games and stuff like that. I would go hog wild. But on Fridays, I was a designated driver on the spot. So when I was coming up with the name for the podcast, because originally this was not meant to be a female fitness podcast, it was just supposed to be a podcast. I had bands on for the first, 100 guests or so. So I was just coming up with a name on it. And then I got a text that night that I was like thinking about starting the podcast. And it was, hey, DD, what's up? Can you, pick me up tonight? And it was like a work day, and this guy needed someone for his designated driver. So then light bulb popped in my head, DD on the spot. Now, I realize that is the dumbest name to have when you're doing this type of content. I could have had probably about 10 times as many subscribers had I changed it. But the problem was, it had gotten to be so popular at the point that if I change it, I didn't know if people would still know that it was me without, looking into it. So it became a self-fulfilling prophecy kind of thing where I have to stick with the name now because it's too big now where I can't really change it. But I do realize how everyone else, you'll have like your female bodybuilding channel, you have your female bodybuilding forum, you'll have, all the other stuff like Go Figure podcast, all stuff that involves this sport. But I'm the one where it's just, why is it called DD on the spot? And I totally understand. So that's the name and the reason behind it.
Yeah, because when I started, I was just using my name. I was actually, my full name is George Page MacArthur. I was using George Page. There was another guy named George Page. I said, why didn't you change it? And then I got the idea, all the rage George Page. And then there was a lady where this guy, his name is Coach Seth Harrison. He inspired me to start doing the live streams and doing the interviews. And we used to do like a live talk every on Sunday about MMA and mixed martial arts, especially women in mixed martial arts, because I do interviews with those ladies too. And this girl named Mary, she called me the pervy sage because I talked about stuff that was very, risque. And then that was one of my names. I had the picture of Jariah, and then I said, you know what, I have a particular like a feeling I like to like, so I created this new guy. I call myself the Joker.
Never change, George. Never change.
I went. I remember I went to see that movie, The Dark Knight, and he took that, he ran with it, and I just I use it in my like every time when we do an interview, I pop it up and I say, like I tell, I say, "You are beautiful," and Ryan, someone like you, Ryan, you complete me. And people like Kate and some others don't like it, but the fact is, I love that version of Joker. I grew up watching Batman series Romero. I grew up with Jack Nicholson, but he just took his and just ran with it.
Yeah.
I got some comments here. This is from Michael Boyce. He says, "Women's bodybuilding will still survive." I know where he says. Also, this is from the Art of Female Muscle. So who are the competitors who recently died? Well,
So I can name one of them, but then the other, so two of them are ones that I didn't even get to release the podcast that I did with them because I record them and then they died. So with my podcast, what I do is I record them and then I edit them, and then I'll have sometimes where like I'll only record like 1 week out of the month, and I'll record like 8 of them in 1 week, and then I'll just spread them out over the month just because of how my work schedule is in the other podcast that I do. But Kristen Leah was the one that died that I can name that really got to me because I had her on like 3 times. I was I had her number. We were texting every once in a while. It was, we were just friends, but like it was, that one was really devastating to me. And then there was 2 other ones that I recorded their podcast and then they died before I was even able to publish them. And then I asked their family member, "Do you think I should post it?" And then they saw that on their, both of them said some pretty bad things about drugs and stuff like that. And they said, "Well, it's up to you." And I haven't posted them yet, but I think when I get to it, because I haven't even edited them because I was just too like, I don't want to look at someone who just recently died. But yeah. And then there was another one that was a local person that went to the gym that I still go to every once in a while, that she competes just locally, and she passed away too. So that was the 4 deaths, and it was in the span of 8 months. Yeah, it was ridiculous.
Yeah, I can tell you this. I interviewed Ronnie Charisma, and there was no more. A year after that, she passed away. We were doing like you. I also interviewed Kristen. We were in good contact for a good bit, but I think she was doing a lot of stuff. She's moving around, and I know a lady who knows her that told me about it, and it kind of broke my heart because you know what, I was trying to get in contact with her. We were trying to set some up, maybe get back together and maybe do a live stream these days, but it was just Kristen was just one of those things that really hurt. Like with Rhonda Lee, because if you go to my YouTube, I have that interview we done, and I was a fan of hers. I've watched her as a bodybuilder and also watched her as a porn star. It was just, she was a great lady. We used to talk to her. This is a while back. She was friends with Melissa Coates, and I was in contact with Melissa Coates. I even sent her one of my care package I make when I do my interviews. And we were in contact, and I did a video for her. I posted on my old IG account before it got hacked, and she saw it. She liked it. Then the next day she was gone. I was talking to one lady. Her name is Jennifer Hernandez, and we were in conversation doing an interview sometime. And then no more than 2 weeks after that, she passed. I mean, I post, every so often I post. There was like that year with what happened with Alina Havante. There was like a couple of ladies here and there. And then you had John Meadows, and you had Sean Roden, and you had Joe St. Pierre. Joe Pierre.
Sean Meadows was a huge one. Everyone that I talked to just absolutely loved the guy, and that was one where everyone, like, yeah, I had so many guests come on just talk about how great of a man he was, and that one was one that devastated so many people. I'd never met him myself. I was trying to get him on the show. We were like starting to work on dates that we could get on, but yeah, he unfortunately passed. But I've heard nothing but good things about that guy, so that one was a tragedy for me.
Because I know he trained Missy Trescott. Missy, she actually, I posted one when her, she liked it. She said thank you, appreciate it, because I saw the video of somebody, and then I said, what, she gave the how she's going through. She looks like she's doing pretty good now. The debate is like what she's gonna do when she comes back. I don't know. Way things are going is some ladies who I know who have got injuries that did fitness competitions, they switch divisions and do it for a while. I know Mina, I forgot last name. She's from Finland.
She's from Finland. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, she did physique for a good minute. Jody Bone, she was doing injuries. Plus, after she had a baby, she did figure and physique.
That is the one of like the handful of guests that I've wanted to have on for so long, but haven't, is Jody Bone. she is one of probably like 3 or 4 that I have been working tirelessly to get. But yeah, we haven't gotten anything pinned out yet. And then Mina actually we had a podcast scheduled last weekend, but it had to be delayed because there was something. I think there was like a photo shoot that went too long or something like that. So we're gonna do that, in a couple of weeks too. But yeah, fitness competitors are crazy with the stuff that they do.
Yeah, I just interviewed a while back Stephanie Jones, and she's making the switch from fitness because of some injuries she's had, so she's going to do wellness this year. I interviewed a young lady who's going to make her Arnold Schwarzenegger type debut. It's Mina for Mina. I've interviewed one lady who used to be a fitness, but she's been MMA. I interviewed an MMA fighter, but then she told me she was a fitness competitor. I said she's still IFBB for fitness, but she was debating about coming back or just because she told me how when she was doing MMA that paid for her competition stuff because you got to think about it, you got to come in with a black eye, but you got to do, but it's tough, what these ladies do. This is from a man, KL. He says this. He says, the general public, unfortunately, would not accept the sport of bodybuilding, especially for the women.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Also, he says this. Says, when did more women start going to your podcast consecutively?
Daja Ogolnik was the first sort of health and fitness guest I had on. She barely competed, but she does a lot of gut health stuff now, and that was the first one. I think it was after I got Katie Lee was probably like the first big guest that I got on that was like pretty big in the scene, and that was probably like 6 months into podcasting, maybe 5 months or something like that. Back when I first started, I was literally doing it where I would just record them and then publish them like right after that. So I was doing like one a day for like the first few months. That's why I have so many, even though I only publish like 2 a week. Now I think I'm up to like 670 something for this one podcast I do. But yeah, so it was Katie Lee. So I'd say probably about like 6 months into it. And then that's one that got a lot of hits. And then I was just like, hey, maybe I should stick to that. And then I had, I think Lindsay Diaz was probably the second one that I had. And this was before Lindsay Diaz, really became, as much of a following as she has right now. But yeah, that was really, I think, what took off then. And then I just started to say, hey, let's just focus on those guys. I'll have musicians on, a different podcast. And I started doing that. But yeah, that's what took off for the women coming on.
Yeah, because, I remember the first person I actually interviewed was Alicia Fleria Massa. She's a great lady. We're still good friends. Her birthday was just a couple of days ago. I wish her happy birthday. I interviewed, like, one lady we share in common is Nancy Lewis. And that's a legend. When I got her, that was like, my God, because I always loved her physique. Great physique, great muscle. She was like the precursor for the physique division because she had great conditioning, great, just overall.
She just unfortunately had to step on the stage with Linda Murray. That was her only problem.
Yeah, Linda Murray, and you can't forget.
It's just not fair. Let's be completely honest. It's just not fair.
Linda Murray and also Kim Zavetsky and Laura Craval. Those were tough cookies to crack. And then Sue Price, who just had a great look to her, very feminine. People like Jada Beverly, we had on a while back. People who I've interviewed and I got to meet, like, I met she was down here for, I know a guy, you know him, his name is Glenn. He has the Amazon Fitness magazine. He had a little, section. We had Rashana Boswell. She came down there and we did a little interview afterwards. Great lady. I got to meet Sheena Oleg, when I was, when I went to Savannah. Donna Saleeb, one lady whose name I met. I would not speak her name on my channel because you know who she is. Everybody knows who I'm talking about. I would not speak her name. I treat her like Laura Vandermoor, the name we do not speak.
What are the initials at least? Can I get the initials at least?
SF.
Okay.
Yes, SF. So we're getting this shit. So I did not speak her name. I really was like I was doing content on her before, but then after the shit came up, and then instead of just get in front of it and say, okay, I did it, and get in front of it, and just try to a while back, she said she saw something I commented on. I said, okay, you want to come on and give your side, come on. But then like I remember one of his old school wrestler, his name was Captain Redneck Dick Murdoch. Like I said, like it ain't nothing but an old yellow belly egg sucking dog. So that's how you're a scared coward. Here's this from a man, KL. He supports me. Shout out to KL the Wonder and shout out to him, Ed. Ryan, have you ever got stood up by someone who you was planning on to do an interview with? And also he says this. And also, what are the ways you reach to these women to interview? So, I think I've been stood before, and I had some times. I mean, one time I was supposed to have an interview with Julian Wetzel a lady named Donna Jones and another lady. But I had a little situation. I went to see my car because I have a pacemaker. I had it for almost 10 years. I see a cardiac specialist and I get it tested. My blood pressure was high because I wouldn't take my medication like I was supposed to, and things. And then they sent me to the hospital. I was there for 2 days. I had to cancel interviews. But you ever been set up, and what's that for you as when you get set up, say, hey, I got this thing set up, and what happened?
Honestly, if we're being honest, when it comes to recording people and doing their interviews, I'd say a third of them don't go on the first time. Like we'll find a way to reschedule. We'll eventually, do it and stuff. But I'd say about a third of the guests, either we delay a couple hours or we have to do it the next day or something like that. Cause so many things pop up. And again, like I said, I'm just a little podcast. I mean, no one really, this isn't, life-changing stuff really, but so it's probably like a third of them. And then there have been times too, where a guest, one of them, I'm not going to name names, but this was recent. This was like a couple weeks ago where they were just so intimidated by some of the comments that they get. And they said they didn't really have thick skin. So they said, I would love to come on, but I just don't think I can handle it. And then there's been other times too, where one of them, I experienced what must've been roid rage. It had to have been where this is when I was first getting started. This is like the first year I was late 5 minutes to record a podcast because I was doing a podcast before that. And that podcast went a little long, which happens every once in a while, but the guest freaked out on me, just messaged me saying like, this is so unprofessional. You're so unprofessional. Yada, yada, yada. I'm never going to talk to you and stuff like that. And I even forgot what the guest name is. I still have it on Skype. I could probably find it eventually, but this is like one of the first ones. And then that was, and I honestly, George, if I'm being honest, I don't care. if a guest cancels me, I really don't care. It's like, there's so many ones out there that, if I were to have 100 people or 100 guests just not show up, it's like, there's 10,000 other ones. I don't care unless you're like Andrea Shaw or something like that. You cancel. And I'm just like, oh, okay, well, it's a little upsetting, but it's like, dude, it's not that. It's not the end of the world.
Yeah, because I have ladies that like, okay, we try to get in touch. Say, wait, let me know we want to see the interview. Tell me this, tell me that. You say, I can't make it. Get this. Oh, wait, I'm willing to work with you. But here's the thing, my mind says like this, baby. There's other people out there who
I do have a 3-strike thing. So if you delay on me once, it's fine. If you delay on me twice, then you get kind of like a final warning. But if you cancel me 3 times, then I just don't talk, because it's like you are wasting time at that point. Unless you are like, I'm gonna call her out right now, Lindsay Diaz. She's done this like 8 times now recently, but she's been on like 5 times, so she gets a pass for that. Where it's like stuff doesn't, and even she says like, I bet you're the worst. I bet I'm the worst to you right now and stuff like that. And I said, I'm not going to lie. You totally are the worst at scheduling, but like, it's totally fine. Where it's gotten to the point where we'll schedule something. And then I'll be like, I'm just going to assume that you're not going to show up. So if you do, then, more power to you. But yeah, you definitely need to set boundaries too, where you're not just like, where they aren't showing up constantly. So I've had my 3-strike rule. I've actually never had to do it. I've gotten to 2 strikes with some people, but then they eventually show up. But yeah, otherwise, it's a part of the thing. People have busy lives. There's stuff happens. I totally understand.
Yeah, because it's funny how we guys always use baseball as a metaphor when we talk about life. But yeah, I mean, like I know some ladies who I've done interviews with who we still I give them like a little pass. If it's Andrea Shaw, oh my God, Andrea Shaw. This is a picture. This is from my homeboy. He comes up. He helps me do on my live stream. This is my man, Big Keith Whip.
See, I lucked out with Andrea Shaw, where I got her on right before she won her first Olympia.
Yeah, now I think she's really busy now. I know he's always trying to get on. And Keith, him and his wife Tina Williams, we're still in good contact. They were training with John and Andrea, and then he sent me a couple of pictures, him and Tina and Andrea, and he sent me this one. I just like, I know this Big Keith, you my brother. I love you, but you get your hands on you, my woman. I mean, I'm sorry. I can't. You just look. You just like, come on. I said, yeah, George, I got your girl, George. I said, nah. I'm sorry, Ryan. It just sometimes it's just okay. Who's Baba? We got some comments from my man.
Claude's killing it with these questions. I love it. I should honestly just do a Q&A on my podcast one of these days. Yeah, you should do it. Well, with recently, I probably should delay it a little bit because I'd probably get a lot of comments about other things. But I might wait a few months and then I'll get into it. But yeah.
I like doing live streams because I like to get the comments of people say. Sometimes I'll have certain guests that I have so many comments I can't get them all because it's like this. Basically, say like it's like an episode of Chappelle's show. When Charlie Murphy...
hang on, we got to answer something right now that the Art of Female Muscle just posted because I want to talk about this too. My OnlyFans page. Okay. We can talk about this 100%.
Okay, Ryan, one of the most controversial aspects out there with you is on your OnlyFans page. Why did you set that up? And how exactly did you work? Did the women get any of the profits from that? Oh, so because I know you did OnlyFans, and
Oh my god.
everybody knows OnlyFans is one of the popular, as I call them, beat the meat websites. That's what they are. You guys go on there, you know what you're doing when you go on here, and and you did have OnlyFans.
Oh my god.
Were you making profit off of it, or it was just
So here's what happened. So this was during the start of the pandemic, and I had a set of 4 guests that I had where we were just talking and like, because we'd all lost our jobs, and we were just like, what we're gonna do, and I was like, let's see how much money. He's like, I was like, you want to start an OnlyFans page where we do the least sexual thing ever, where I just repost posing videos that I'm gonna post on my YouTube channel, and let's see how much money we can make off of that. Every single video on that OnlyFans page was something that I posted on my YouTube channel, and it was literally just guests doing a front double bicep, side arms, back. And we agreed, like, yeah, we'll split it. So I started with those 4 guests, and then yeah, every other guest that I had on and said, you know what? Here's what happened. I think I did it for like 6 months or maybe a year, and I probably posted like 40-ish videos or something like that with guests. A lot of some of it was the same people. And then I did a lot of like thumbnails where I take like the thumbnails from the videos where like every pose that they did and I post it. And so what it was with the money that I got, I think I made probably the whole time like $200. It wasn't that much. And then I split it with the 4 guests I had on. I gave them I think it was like I gave them each like $30 or $40 or something like that. And then with other guests I had on where I just ask them like, oh, hey, so what I tell guests is afterwards, if I wanted to use them for my page, say, hey, I'm, good. This is going to be on YouTube, just to get some likes. And so, we'll get some views and stuff. And I also have an OnlyFans page, which is a non-sexual one. And by the way, on my OnlyFans page, I specified that I'm just going to be posting stuff that I post on my YouTube page as well, which I found hilarious that people were still paying money for that. But, I would say, like, do I have your permission to do that? And they'd say, oh yeah, absolutely. And I said, and if it does, if it gets, like likes and stuff like that, I can pay you some, but really only I'd give them like $2 or something like that. And most of them are fine. And that is the most funny thing is that when that broke about my OnlyFans page, which I didn't think that was a secret because I had it literally on my main page when you go to my YouTube channel, and I deleted it like over a year and a half ago, just because I was just like, okay, this is dumb now. And I still have my Patreon page, which you can go and check out. But after like a year and a half, like when this all broke earlier this week, where people were like, oh, but you has an OnlyFans page, made funny. The guests that I had on that I made videos about all sent me stuff just laughing their ass off, being like, that is the least sexual OnlyFans page of all time. It basically could have been a Patreon page, if we're being honest. Like there was no nudity in it at all. There was nothing sexual. Guests were just wearing regular clothes, just doing a front double bicep and stuff like that. And I think I even one where I like Ariel Rose tour her, her kitchen where she showed us like all the supplements that she takes and stuff like that. It was just other stuff like gym tours I even had on there and stuff like that. So that I laughed my butt off when that broke, and I was like, oh my God, if that's the most scandalous thing you can find about me or controversial, I must be doing something good. Because yeah, so I really I made basically like $200 from doing the same stuff that I published on my YouTube page, and people were willing to pay that. So more power to, I guess people can, do that. But yeah, if you want to question me about a lot of things, you can. But I mean, my OnlyFans page, I take pride in the fact that I had the least sexual OnlyFans page out there, and I actually got the permission of people that I had on. So yeah.
And it's funny that these guys, they look for stuff. I mean, I know I'm a schmo. I admit it, but I understand that when I've done these interviews and talked to these ladies, I've learned stuff. I learned what they really are about. And the ladies that do the OnlyFans or the her biceps or the muscle girls, it's the way to make money. And you guys are out there. You're the ones who will put them. You see that this is the thing about porn. People said that the victims are the performers. The victims are really the people who buy the stuff. Who we're the ones who, especially guys. I still watch porn because sometimes there's not much on TV. I'd be bored. I might watch a little video every now and then. And I remember I was talking earlier how
I just gotta say this out there, since I'm in a relationship, I don't watch any porn. I have to say that right now so that
say that right now. Yeah. She said,
yeah. You hear that, Tori? I don't watch any porn, so don't.
Tori, she don't watch any. He don't watch any. He don't watch porn, Tori. But yeah, but the fact is, we guys we like to watch it. Like I said, before I worked at a strip club, I used to be there, go as a customer. I enjoy watching the girls. We are entertained. Men were different than women. We are more into things visually. Like my sisters used to collect the old those love story novels. They used to because they were just books and words. But we guys, we like the pictures. We buy Playboy. We don't buy Playboy for the articles. We buy it for the pictures. We enjoy the look of a woman, different forms of women. Like I said, I'm from the South. Women a little more round and firmer. I didn't get to meet my first real bodybuilders till about 2 years ago when, as I mentioned, Glenn had his Amazon Fitness magazine debut, and I met some ladies and become friends. Ladies I've interviewed too, and become friendly with. And I went to Savannah and went to see. I saw many of these people, men and women, and just it was astonishing for me. Just the this country boy coming over here all the way to Savannah. I saw people like Linda Murray. I took a picture with Lita Popa. I met Annie Vecchio, who I would always had a beautiful physique, amazing body. I mean, she was another one like I would say like Nancy, the precursor for women's physique. Here we got here. This is from my man KL. He says, I'm not even going to think about talking to Andrea Shaw. I might as well try to talk to LeBron James. Also he says, I do like Emily Sherbert OnlyFans. It's not that much nudity, but it's nice. And also,
I will say Emily is one of the real ones. She'll post stuff year round. She'll post her off season. She'll post herself in season. She's one of the ones where you'll see what you want. I mean, when I say you see what you want, she'll give you everything that you want in her life just because she's so open about that, where you'll see her as the fluffiest person she can be, where she'll call herself fat when she's really not. I mean, so many people aren't like that. So if it goes to some of my favorite guests I've had on, Emily Schubert is definitely in the top 5, because she is definitely someone that is just so upfront and truthful about a lot of things. Now, again, like with some of the drugs and stuff like that, we talk about that behind the scenes because I don't want to out anyone. I don't want to get anyone in trouble. But like, other than that, she is very, very open. And she's one of my favorites.
Yeah, because I got like Jada. She's one of my favorites. She's been on a couple of times. Lady Mary Ann Wachowski. We are still good friends.
Wait, so is Jada competing again now?
I think she said she competed last year. She did. Remember, she did Daytona.
Yeah.
And she came on that week after. She wanted to do another show, but she said nah, it was too close. She wanted at least a couple of weeks to recover after Daytona. But she says she's planning on to do 2025 because she has a new job now. She works for UPS, so she's doing deliveries.
Oh God.
Yeah. Yeah. So
I worked for UPS for 5 years, so I know. Yeah, it's really,
I don't know if it's somebody who works at UPS or Amazon. They often say those are.
I've worked at both. Don't everyone don't.
Oh yeah.
I worked at Amazon in college, like as a part-time thing. But then I was at UPS. I got all the way up to being the supervisor of airline shipping, and then Jada. I did a podcast with her actually when she was out of bodybuilding. This was before she decided to come back, and I'm never gonna publish it because like I kind of got the feeling that like she wanted to come back in, and there was a lot of truths were spilled in that one. So when I want to get canceled, I might publish that one, but I'm going to, tell her ahead of time, like, hey, is it all right if I do this? But like, I was definitely one of those where after I recorded, I was like, I'm probably not going to publish this one because I think that she's not going to stay retired like she was. But it was so shocking to see her with like little to no muscle on at all, just looking regular. It was like kind of like what happened with Katie Lee, where she got really sick that one time.
Yeah, Katie, yeah.
I've been trying to have her on since then too, but I think she's more focused on the MMA type stuff now. But
yeah, because he does a lot of Brazilian jiu-jitsu tournaments, stuff like that. I think because that's why I do some interviews with ladies, because I see similarities between women in mixed martial arts and bodybuilding. They don't get as much recognition as the men counterparts, and then they put just as much work and time. But it's a tougher sport. One lady who did mixed martial arts before her bodybuilder, Jay Fuchs. And she fought a lady who, if you know of her, Jermaine Anime, I call her Go Duck and Run, but they call her the Iron Lady. She's making a return, I think, next month after she took some layoff after she had a child. There's so much similarities. That's why I still interview ladies in MMA every now and then. Not as much like I used to, because sometimes it's hard to get them on. Sometimes my last person interview was Monica Medea. She is a bare knuckle fighter. It's tough. Bare knuckle is tough. You're getting. I interviewed Brittany Hart.
Okay, I should say bare knuckle is the way that fighting should be, honestly, then, because not too many people are going to get hurt, and you're not going to, like, the punches aren't going to be as hard because people don't want to break their knuckles. If you want to have safety in boxing, I've always said just do bare knuckle then.
Well, the problem is, if you see some of the bare knuckle fighters, you can really get hurt. You face get a lot more distorted because I remember Brittany fought a girl, she knocked her teeth out. Here's from the man KL. He says, guys are the suckers that the thing is so. Some people can handle it while some can't. Also, he says, I'm talking about porn. Yeah, true. And he says, Jada ain't my friend, so whatever. So who cares?
I will say this, but like, there's so many times that I've talked to some of the guests off the record, and I've said, like, it's totally fine what you do. I mean, I totally support that. People got to find a way to make money. But like, yeah, they don't respect a lot of the people that buy their stuff. For a lot of them, I mean, guys like George, yeah, they'll respect you because you're a nice guy and you're genuine. But most of the guys, they kind of look at him and they laugh a little bit, where they're like, I can't believe I'm making money off this guy. And that's one thing that I was shocked by too. But a lot of them are in on it too, and I think it needs to be brought up to the guys too, where it's like, don't go into these things thinking that you're going to start friendships or relationship with a lot of them, because they're just in it for their money. I mean, if you want to really test how much of a friendship you are, tell them, hey, I'm sorry, I can't buy your subscription anymore on OnlyFans, or I can't do any of that, and then see how nice they are to you afterwards. Which, I mean, some of them are genuine. I will tell you, some of them are genuine. I'd say out of the ones I've talked to, I'd say there's like 40 of them. I think I responded to someone in a message like that. I'd say there's like 40 of them that I've really got into that, and I'd say probably about 5 of them are like genuinely like really nice, and they do it just because they like they like showing off their body. Which, I mean, honestly, let's be honest, if you look like some of these people look, I would be naked 24/7 honestly if I had that show look ever at the time. But a lot of other times too, I mean, it's for money, and they aren't. So I think a lot of guys just got to be aware of that too, where it's like, you're going to get hurt if you go into this thinking that this is something where it could lead to something where it's not. So you got to make sure that and Claude just said that's good advice, Ryan. I wish that I would be able to reach more people with that, because I think that would solve so many problems where guys get upset and they just get put off by these women, and then they do stupid stuff, like they might stalk them, or they might do. I've heard so many horror stories, George, that I mean, again, this would be 15 hours long if we wanted to do that, but yeah, you definitely just got to come in there with a level head and just make sure that, like, hey, this is a transaction.
Mm-hmm. This is what advice I give to both the men and women in this situation, and I love. And KL knows I do this because I love quotes. It's my favorite movie, Batman Begins. Great quotes from that movie, and this is from Ra's al Ghul, where he says to Bruce Wayne, "Be aware of surroundings at all times. Never give a sure footing for a killing blow." And you have to be aware of surrounding the people you're dealing with, because some people, they're just not mentally together. You understand this? This is a sport, and what these ladies do, if like I said, this. I talk about this quite often, how IFBB makes money off these competitors. The Olympia, the Arnold Schwarzenegger Classic. No one comes to see, the promoters. No one comes to see the judges. They come to see you guys. And I say like this, it should be more like, one thing is, okay, you pay $300 a year for a pro card, which keeps you registered and keeps you, makes you official. You should be getting some kind of, like, if you was part of a union, and I was a part of a union. One of my jobs, I worked at, it was Smithfield Packing. It was a meat packing processing plant. I was part of a union. When I was almost about to be fired, I went to my union delegate. They saved my job. I was still with sick because at the time after that, I was dealing with my pacemaker and stuff like that, being sick, and because I've had heart conditions, genetic. And it's just, these athletes should get those benefits. Think about it. If you have a job and you have benefits, it takes care of you. If I get sick, okay, I have my short-term disability. I have my, I don't have to pay. Like, one lady told me she had to go to get some blood work done, and it took $600 out of her pocket to pay for it. I mean, little things like that to help these athletes. I mean, this is again, even though bodybuilding is a big sport, they make money. They do make a lot. You get these sponsors throwing money at these shows every so often. And just saw recently, they just picked up a new sponsor, but they're giving money towards men's bodybuilding. But here's the thing about women's bodybuilding is not technically governed under. You're still judged, but you're not governed by the IFBB and APC, truthfully. But still the same. There should be some benefits to. Okay, let's make sure you have your benefits. Okay, like my man, Big Keith, he comes on and we do the live stream together. Must Talk Mondays. He's an ex-football player. He played several years in the NFL. He still gets a pension. If you look at sports like football, basketball, baseball, all the major sports, they even retired. They used to fight for that because they had to fight for that. But the problem is, you said before, everybody's worried more about the short-term money than the long-term money. And when you get out of the sport, you should have something. This is from a man, KL. He says, I'm not trying to fall in love with these broads, where you act sometimes you do. And also,
I will say, Klaus, some of the comments that you post on some of my videos, it seems the exact opposite. So
yeah.
Hide all you want, Klaus. I'm joking, but sometimes, Klaus, I will say you make some comments on my videos where I'm just like, oh, that's Klaus. I guess that's just.
we just busting your balls, KLA. We just busting your balls. So, and some of these women I do respect and are considerate. Yeah, I said that. And also, there has to be a way for these women to get paid more. Yeah, I'm going to do a live stream tomorrow because I have a special guest. That's his named Maria Q. Lieberman. We interviewed her about last week.
Oh yeah, I know who that is. Yeah.
Yeah, she started following you. She said she started following your channel, and she says, George, I want to do something. I want to do something with you and KL. I said, okay. And she said she want to do it with two black guys and a Filipino chick. I said, well, we might have three black guys and a Filipino chick or a white chick because I know Lori Butler. She's often sometimes she comes on and we'll do a live stream, but this is what we're talking about. How about the women's division? We're gonna stick about this here. Bodybuilding's been around, especially for the women, for a little over 50 years. And the sport has evolved. I remember when if you think about it, actually, it started off like bikini. Then it kind of evolved to figure. And then it evolved from the Rachel McLeods and the Corey Eversons. And then it evolved from to the Linda Murrays and the Kim Zavetsky's, and Iris Kyle and Alina Popa and Andrea Shaw and Angela Yo. And you look at Natalia Coelho and you look at Sarah Vilgas. It's, the sport is just evolving. But like I said, the thing is, we talk about this, the guidelines need to be set. They always have criteria set for the other division, especially for my men's classic or men's physique, but they don't really sit down and set the guidelines for the women other than bikini and wellness.
Yeah. I mean, it's been so ever changing that I really don't understand how they're able to keep it like it is. Because if you look at how, the figure competitors were when I first started even doing the interviews, that's bikini now. You look at the physique competitors, that's the figure competitors now. I mean, just how much bigger, and there needs to be something that needs to be done about how they need to regulate things, because honestly, like I said in that rant that I had, which by the way, that's not even a rant. If you want to see me ranting, you would be scared, because like I get really into it. So anyone who's like, oh, that's a huge rant, it's like, no, that's not a rant. That's me, raising my voice like 2 times and a thing. But anyway, I honestly think that they need to, find a way, because I'm shocked that there is not that many people that have died. I'm shocked that it was only 4 guests I've had on. Like I said, there's 30 or 40 that if I were to get a message right now saying that they died, I would not be surprised. I would just be like, oh, well, I guess that's thing. And then there needs to be something to be changed. And like I said, too, in the rant, where it's like, if you were to do their blood work, it's like, you should not be coming out as the opposite sex on your blood work. And again, I have to say this a million times. It doesn't mean that I'm calling you a man, but I'm just saying, if the computer says that this is the blood work of a man, that if we're, doing this, but so there needs to be stuff that needs to be changed about that as well, because I know the sport's never going to be mainstream. I've said this a million times. It never will be, just because it's so niche. But if you want to get any semblance of the general public to be into it, the moment that they find out about this stuff that happens behind the scenes, and the moment they find out about the drug abuse, it's going to turn off 99.999% of the people. So there needs to be a way where, obviously, drugs are always going to be in the sport. It's never going to change. There's going to be drugs, and if I'm being honest, I went to a natural show. It wasn't that entertaining. It's people at the natural shows. Yeah, you can get in shape, but you don't have the freaks that a lot of people want to see. And it's human nature to see the freaks and the people where they're on the extreme on the stage. So there needs to be a way, but it needs to be regulated. And there needs to be a way that is just, safe for the guests. And again, I don't know how to do it. I have never done a show before. I have never been a promoter, but I just wanted to just get a conversation started so that people could talk about it. And hey, maybe it gets to a promoter and they figure out something. I do want to start to get some promoters on to talk to them and just pick their brain about how they do it, and the pricing too. Dear God, I went to one show and it wasn't even a pro show, and it was like $45 for the morning and like $60 for the night. And it's like, what are you doing?
Yeah, it's crazy. I remember when I went to Savannah, it was like, I think about 85 for the I was just going for that was for if you want to be up like close to the front, that's like for VIP, like 80 to 90. And then the evening show was like $100 something, and then I had to put in the cost of my Uber and maybe my hotel room. And and the thing is, I think one thing is, I remember this was said to me by one lady. I think I'm going to say Margie Martin said this to me. I was asking for an interview. She said, try to talk to promoters. They're not going to talk to me, because you know what? I'm just a small guy. If like this, I want to talk to you athletes. You're the ones who truthfully have your boots on the ground. Like guys like Jake, I got to do it every time I say this. Yo, Jake, I want that money. I want that gun. I have suicide, say Jake would say. And what he did, he saved with his bodybuilding. But now he's going in a direction where he's become more of the part of the system. There was great Wing with their basketball program was great. Some people I talked to say like they were doing pretty good, but till certain people weren't playing their role like supposed to. And you got to think about it. You were getting maybe $3,000-$5,000, and you got to think about it. That's more we will ever get out of just not doing nothing, just going to the booths and setting up and taking pictures and stuff like that. It's just this is where the sport needs to sit down and say, like, after, remember you said that they should like take suspend the sport for a year,
Yep.
have a convention, have everybody come together, sit down, say, okay, what we need to do, what we need to do for to save this sport. One thing, one talk about, like one issue she don't like the idea of it is someone like The Rock come and get involved in it. And one thing was the problem was if The Rock comes involved, what happened where they're gonna put in some kind of clause where a lot of these ladies do OnlyFans and then the meet websites, they're gonna lose some money. And we
Well,
all
the problem with The Rock is that he's always denied using steroids too, and if he comes in and does a bodybuilding thing, then everyone's like, "Dude, you're basically admitting it." Which, Rock, let's just be honest with people. That's one thing. Actors too, just admit that you're on roids. I just saw the Iron Claw a couple nights ago, and like Zac Efron, like you can see zits all over his chest and stomach, and it's like, dude, you are on some serious cycles here. Just open up about that and be honest about that in general. It's like, yeah, obviously you still train your butt off to get into that role, but it's like you got to be honest about that because people don't get jacked in 3 months, 3 or 4 months, and put on 20 pounds of muscle without taking some serious stuff.
Yeah, because we talked about earlier, we talked about Sylvester Stallone, and Dolph Lundgren when they did the Rocky movies. You look at guys like Wesley Snipes. This is a quote from MMA fighter Nick Diaz. Everybody taking roids. And then there was a whole, remember, as you know, you're a big baseball fan, they had that whole congressional hearing when the baseball players were taking it. But the fact is, everybody overlooks when you have the mainstream sports like boxing, MMA, baseball, football. They take it, and you have die from steroid use, but they take a blind eye. They look at bodybuilding and put a point and say, "Hey, you're always on this, you're on that." But
because they're the easiest targets. They're obviously doing stuff, so that's why they know that they can catch them.
Yeah, we got here from man Lawrence Perkins coming through. Shout out to Lawrence, thank you, brother. He's always here. Ladies love him. He's the female bodybuilding whisperer. He says, George, good afternoon, George, Ryan, KL, and everyone in the chat. Thank you, man.
I'm aware of Lawrence. He sent me messages. I appreciate Lawrence. I've gotten a lot of good things said about him.
Yeah, that's a great guy. Here's this from KL. Said there are characters of a man. Yeah, sometimes. And also, this is from the female bodybuilding forum. That's my man David Brown over there. Great to see you both. Show pricing is crazy, too expensive. And it was just I was thinking about going to a show last year. My niece, she's my older niece, she lives in Atlanta. I was thinking about going to the Linda Murray show in Atlanta because I would love. I had some ladies reach out and say, "Hey George, if you can come down and come to these shows," I say, "Okay." But I live on Social Security. I get a little check a month. I try to see some inside. That year, I had to get some work done on my car. Oh God, I hate my car. Just want to push it off the mountain.
George, you ever think about starting an OnlyFans page yourself now to support yourself? I think you would be a hit.
I don't know. I don't think anyone want to see me. Maybe
people can see the pacemaker and everything, man. You got to do that.
I think people. I mean, one time when the girls told me, "Said George, you need to go to the station." Nah, they'd be throwing bananas at me because I got hair on me.
You need to dress up in anime, definitely too. I think that would be. You would have your niche there. I think honestly.
But I don't know, man. OnlyFans not for me. Hey, there's some guys with some foot stuff and some fat guy stuff. But this is for my man. I was Ryan. You ever did sessions?
Nope. And I honestly don't have any intent. I mean, the most I felt 2 biceps when I did my in-person podcast, and I did it for a thumbnail as a joke. And that was enough. That was enough for me. One of them, I won't mention which one, said you can kiss it too to really show up to people and like really do that. And I was like, no, that's fine. That's fine. I'm not gonna do that. But I get why people would do that. I mean, it's fascinating when you were with someone that's in that shape and you just want to just feel like what that's like to be like that. And I totally understand that, but it's not for me. But I respect the guys that do that. And as long as you don't, like I've said before, as long as you don't be weird about it and try to follow these people home and do all that stuff. But otherwise, if it's if it's a transaction between 2 people that both parties are agreed with, I have no problems with it myself. I won't do it myself. But it's something that I know it's a part of the sport, and I actually know that there are some women that actually genuinely enjoy it. Some of them don't like it, and I mean, I've heard stories that you can tell that some of them don't like it, but I've talked to quite a few of them. There's a handful at least that, quite enjoy it and they feel powerful. And I can see there's a positive for both sides.
Yeah. Because a while back I interviewed Michelle Facetta. She used to be a bodybuilder, but she runs her own group, his own thing, which is sessions. It's called Velvet Row. And KL, he knows about her because he interviewed her. And I heard her husband, a couple of was on for a live stream interview. And the sessions thing is because here's the thing is with the women bodybuilding side of it, it's always going to be men who follow them more than in anything. Mm-hmm. It's going to be the guys who are with. We all know we can call it schmoes, but it's because we
George, I'm sorry, but I have to interrupt you. I do have to say this. When I did my rant on schmoes, which was a huge thing. I am not talking about every single schmo. And I think most people realize that, but there are some guys that thought that I was attacking the entire schmo community. I'm not. There's a majority of guys in the schmo community that I think are taking things way too far, but there is, out of the ones I've talked to, there are dozens of them where they're just good guys that just enjoy, a woman that's in shape, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. And they're completely respectful and everything. I was just talking to the vast majority of them that tend to put things way too far. And a lot of it is because some of them aren't from, they're from countries where I don't know if they really have that much when it comes to respecting women. I think so. I think a lot of, like, you have your Saudi Arabia people from, or you have people from India where it's not really, PC hasn't really gotten over there that much. So they still live kind of in a society where women aren't, as valued as they should be. So I think a lot of them just come over, they comment on people's Instagrams and they think that they should treat them like that. I'll probably get canceled for saying that, but honestly, George, I don't care at this point. But yeah, I honestly just think that, schmoes, it's not a derogatory term. There's nothing wrong with being a guy that likes women's muscle. I enjoy it. I don't enjoy it like a schmo. I mean, I would consider myself a minor schmo where it's like, yeah, because I talk to women with muscle, but I wouldn't consider myself like one of those where it's like, oh my God, I have to see her, do this and I have to, go up and and I understand guys that are like that. I mean, I'm dating a dietitian who's, skinny and has a little bit of size on her. She's tall. I do like tall women. I will say that. I'll give that away just because I want to have freakishly tall kids.
You might my man, the coach. He loves Amazons. He loves tall women.
And I'm gonna say tall. It doesn't have to be like super tall, but we're talking like 5'8", 5'9", just because I'm 6'3", and I want to have giants for kids. I want to have kids that just dominate every athletic event that they do. And so, when I get a 6-foot guest on, I'm like, that's the only reason I'm attracted to him. Is like, I'm attracted to you because you're 6 feet tall, honestly. But yeah.
Yeah. Well, me, I'm 5'7". I need a woman that's maybe a little shorter. Maybe, I don't know, if one woman that tall. Shout out to Michaela, says it ain't for everyone. Shout out to him, appreciate that. Also, this is from Ann Lawrence. It says, "Hey Ryan, I enjoy your post and speaking out about the bad side of the sport. Some things needs to be talked about as well." Yeah, and also this is from a man. Kelly says, "We get it, Ryan. There are the weirdos out there. Yes, there are, and somebody have told me some stories. I mean, you ever played basketball, Ryan?
Yes, I did. I played it in high school. I was a power forward. So if anyone out there really follows the NBA, have you ever heard of a guy named Tyus Jones? He plays in the NBA still. He's from Minnesota. I believe I got 17 points against him when I had to guard him, and he was a stud back then. But I was a shooter. I would just sit at the 3-point line and just shoot threes and crash the boards every once in a while. But yeah, I played basketball. I played football where I was a tight end, and then I played baseball where I was a pitcher. So I didn't have that much free time in high school, but yeah, basketball, out of the 3 sports that I did, it was probably my second favorite behind baseball, but yeah, I enjoyed it.
Well, I played football when I was in high school. I was defensive tackle, defensive end. I played secondary sometimes. I wasn't that good. My brother was my brother James. He was really good. He played in college for a couple of years, but he came back home because he was more. He felt like he was a small fish in a big pond. When he came back, but he was the one who got me started because he used to collect the muscle mags. Like I came up in the end of around about the end of the Schwarzenegger era, the start of Heaney, Lita Brada. You had Samir Bannoud, and then people like Corey Everson and Angela Langer and Carla Dunlap just kind of just blew my probation mind because I was getting to my teenage years and just looking at those women are so different, so beautiful. Like, if you have a list of your top favorites women in the sport, who would it be?
Let's see here. Well, Tiffany Boyle was one of my favorite conversationalists to have. I have a third podcast that I did with her like right during the pandemic, but I couldn't publish it because our audio was just so out of shape that like you could barely hear what's going on. And she's now stopped competing, and I message her probably like every 6 months, just being like, "Hey, ready whenever you are." And she says, "Yeah, thanks. I'm just not ready at the moment." But I would say so. She's definitely on there. Lori Buckley is one of my favorites. She is just one of the nicest ones I've talked to, and I still communicate with her. I still text her every once in a while just to stay in touch. I think she's done competing as well. But out of the ones that are still there, Emily Schubert's definitely up there. I would probably have to say Katie Lee was. No, she's not competing, but she still is one of my favorite guests that I've had on. And, she's one of those. There's a handful that I have on where literally they could message me at midnight saying, "I need to talk right now." And I'd get me 15 minutes and we'll be good to go. Rose Black, for sure. She might be my favorite, Rose Black. She's one of those where whenever I have a rant that I feel like talking about, I always message her on Instagram and I say, "Hey, do you have time to talk?" And then she'll go on Skype with me and we'll go ahead and laugh about it. But yeah, it's so Rose Black, and then hang on, I've done like what 5 now, so I'll do another 5 here, but I'll make it quick. Let's see here. I would say I'm just trying to think right now. Who's the guest I've had? Oh, Lindsay Diaz. I can't believe I forgot about her, even though she's been dodging me the last time to come on. She's definitely on there. Yeah, that's really all I can think of right now. We can keep talking. Whenever I think of one, I'll just spout it out there. Because again, George, the problem when you've talked to as many guests as I've talked to is that you forget a lot of them. There have been times where I message someone to try to have them on, and then I realize that I had them on a year ago, and I'm just sending them the same, like, "Hey, you want to come on the podcast?" message. So that's the problem. But I'll think of something while we're talking. We can.
Yeah. Okay. We got here. Kid. He's picking on me. He says you that short, George, 5'7". So that's probably average height of most men. Not everybody that tall.
Yeah, it's
Also,
like 5'6" in the country. So yeah, you're an inch above average. You should be proud of that.
Does Ryan have a female bodybuilder? Well, he just mentioned it a while ago. That's the man, David. I wasn't a good basketball. I just had endurance to play, and I did get better. Yeah. Also, this is from female body form. Says Lori is Iron Wife. We appreciate that. Yeah. Some ladies who I'm a fan of. I'm gonna always say like this. I love Andrea Shaw. I think she's beautiful. She has a great physique, great look. She's the one that brought new life for women's bodybuilding. If I go old school, Vicky Gates is one of my favorites. She was just so beautiful. One person I see similarities to in Vicky is Mela Ash.
Leanna Kaplan. I just thought about that. She's up there too.
Yeah. Also, way back in the day, she was a German competitor. Her name is Krista Bach. I did a video
about her. Yeah, she was insane. Yeah.
Yeah. Can't believe she was like in her late 40s. Mm-hmm. She's one of the few women in age bodybuilder that was a mother and a bodybuilder. You have people like her, like Zena Keene. There was a couple others like Zena Keene, Vicky Gates. They were the first, and Zena was the first mom Miss Olympia. You don't have that many women in the sport now, but and back then there weren't that many that had kids. Diane Dennis was one of them. A couple others I can think of off the top of my head. But now you see a lot more women in the sport coming in who have, like, I know Tina. She has her kids. Tina Williams. A lady who I've become good friendly with. Charlotte Boswell, with her and her wife, they have 2 babies. Their own his wife have it. And, it's just you've seen a good number of mature women come into sport. Like I watched one of these weird lady. I think Miss Sutton. I think her name was.
What was it again?
I think it was Sutton. I think she was. Was it Sutton or something? I'm trying to remember. She was the lady with the goats and the sheep.
Oh, Lexi Bentley.
Benton. Okay, it was Sutton. Yeah. And it's just you see more women come to sport. Like back in the day, I think one thing is it's so easy now to get a pro card compared to what is back in the day. I mean, you remember it was only women's bodybuilding, men's bodybuilding. Then here comes fitness, and then here comes figure physique. But we talk about how the divisions, as we said again, are starting to meld. Where I think they should just either do this: get rid of figure division, make it a new physique division, and push the win for physique up to women's bodybuilding, make it bring it back to lightweight class.
Yeah. I mean, those are a lot of good. I mean, yeah, the more divisions that they make, I mean, I can get the reason why, because it gets more people to try the sport and do that. And especially when you promote the bikini division as much as they do in like the wellness division, it makes the sport seem healthier than it actually is. So I get why they focus more on that. And I get why they, might have canceled the, women's bodybuilding at the Olympia like they did. I can understand reasons for that because it was getting so extreme. But yeah, they definitely need to find a medium, because those ladies have to have a right to compete as well. I mean, unless we're talking about the absolute freaks, which we all know who they are, that bodybuilder from Russia. I'm not even going to name her name to call her up. But like when you get to that point, dude, where it's like you have more testosterone in you than me, it's like let's be completely honest, guys. Like that should not be allowed on stage. And more power to them for putting that through their body. But like anyone that promotes that too, it's like, I guess, you want to do it for your views and stuff like that, but there's got to be a point where you got to, put your foot down to and be like, we can't call this female bodybuilding if we have guests like that. So that's
like we get like this one. Like you get the point where you get someone like, this is the right picture. If you get like, like Sarah Vilgas and Missy Trescott, just that, not that much far apart from each other. Or if you get someone like, a good example like this, Margie V. Martin and Ashley Jones, where this was 2022 Olympia, you wouldn't think they would both different divisions, you'll think they're the same division because,
Mhm.
you know, especially if you're somebody from the outside looking in, it's just the categories are just, it's just you need to sit. Again, the judges need to sit down and put in the guidelines, especially for the women, most definitely for the women. You feel like the women getting to the point where they're getting too masculine and getting to the point where they're getting too more, manly than feminine. Then sit together. But here's the thing about femininity things like this. Don't use that as a hammer against some of these women. They still feminine. Feminine, like one lady told me, femininity is of a mindset, how you dress, how you move so much. One thing that makes a woman feminine more than anything is we all know pregnancy. If I know some ladies who compete, who have kids,
Yeah.
and if that's not feminine enough, what is? I mean, respect them as an athlete. And you got to remember, I used to have my own partner, Jared, Jen. We talk about how it's the evolution of the sport.
Mhm.
And like any sport, if you look, and so again, you look at the bikini girls, they look like the figure girls when they first started out. You look at the figure girls, now look like physique when they started out. If you look at the physique women, they even surpassed someone like Iris Kyle. If you put Iris Kyle on the same stage with someone like Natalia Guejo, she even, Natalia will be more bigger. I mean, I know one lady who told me that she saw Natalia, she known Natalia for years, and she hugged her. She realized how big she's gotten. And I know some ladies said they didn't want to go up because I don't want to lose my femininity. Yeah. But the thing is, when you get to the point, we start developing and growing, especially ladies who start hitting to their close to like one example, like my man, he just mentioned her while here's my man. He says Sherry is one of Ryan's most popular interviews. Ladies, she's the best. I interview Sherry Priami. Yeah, Sherry, that's a good example where she was physique and you see how she evolved. She's number four. Number four. She's only two people away from Andrea Shaw. And and she's a beautiful lady. She still looks feminine. But it's just about where you go, how far. Some women not always gonna be as, I know some women who look kind of mannish. Even we know they're women, but even if they're not taking steroids, some women can look a little bulldogish.
Oh, and when I'm talking about feminine, I'm not talking about like, yeah, some of them still act feminine, but there's a problem, George, when I've always think if, obviously you can't really change the voice, which happens with a lot of the drugs you can't change. But when it comes to the point where, I mean, you have lost all of your hair and you have to wear a wig, and if you were to not shave, you could grow a beard like this in, like 2 weeks that's where I draw the line. Now, again, not everyone that competes is doing that, obviously, where it's, it's a small percentage of them. But if you were to go to a show, you could pick out one or two that are like that. And the problem is that when they step on stage, then, in my opinion, it's not like an insult to the other guests that are being on, but it's just saying like, I don't know. It's telling the other guests like this is what should be allowed in the sport. Then if you're allowing that person to step on stage, where it needs to be, to have their own division then for them, where people who have like taken it too far, where yes, they can still be feminine, they can still be again. I get where it can sort of be a state of mind, but there are some things too, George, where it's like physical wise, like appearance wise. We got to be honest here, George. Like there are some times where you look at someone and you're like, you can say that they have feminine energy about them, but they don't. They could be born a woman. They could have just done some stuff to them, and that's getting into a whole conversation that's just about you can identify with what you want. You can be who you want to be, but it's like don't tell me that I have to pretend that I think that you are as feminine as you are, and I don't want to be the judge of femininity. I don't care about how feminine you are. The only problem is if you aren't, and then you step on stage with guests that are. It's an unfair advantage to those guests that are feminine then. And this is female bodybuilding. This is not just bodybuilding. You're supposed to have some sort of femininity in you. And again, I know as a man coming and saying this is going to be controversial, but there needs to be a way that, we can make sure that they keep some of that. And yeah, like Claude's coming right now, Denise Rakowski. Yeah, that's a good example where that's what's going to happen to a lot of these guests, later on in life. And I don't want to see that happen. Like I said, if you keep competing at these upper levels of bodybuilding, you are slowly killing yourself. And I've had multiple guests come and say that, like, yeah, I know I'm doing that to myself, but I'm chasing a goal. And, they don't have a problem with that. And if they don't have a problem with it, I don't care. But it's just, if I could convince one person not to slowly do that, and, there are other ways you can still compete in bodybuilding and still do it more of a healthy way. Now, you're not going to be completely healthy. There are going to be drugs that you're going to have to take if you want to compete at the upper levels. But I just want to see a fact where we can show femininity and just have it be shown that it is still possible to be, a very feminine person, which there are people like Sherry. She does show off still a little bit of, she still has that feminine energy in them, but it's getting to the point now where it's within 5 years, there's probably going to be more that outnumber those competitors that don't really have that energy. And that is a time when I don't think the sport is going to last very long.
Yeah. But the thing is, if bodybuilding could get like maybe major corporations. Like if you think about someone like Nike
It
or
won't with the drugs though. That's the problem though. I mean,
yeah,
like the moment the drug thing breaks out, then they're not going to want to support them because, I mean, I know they support baseball and they support like track and field, which is some of the most drugged up sports ever. Especially with we got the the Olympics coming up, where it's going to be. I mean, everyone on there is basically on drugs. If we're being completely honest, for the Olympia, but yeah, I just think just because the sport has that image, maybe natural shows they might do that with. And again, I support natural shows as well, but I just don't think they'll get as much publicity because they don't have the freaks that everyone wants to see. But yeah, with corporation, I mean, unless it is, I mean, you might get a drug company to sponsor you. That might be the thing that you're looking for. Honestly, like if I'm being completely honest, like the places that make the drugs, that might be a sponsor, or Suits too, or something like a clothing sponsor. Like I don't think you're gonna get like a major corporate sponsor to really do it, but you could get some like up and coming brands to definitely probably sponsor it and support.
yeah, because that could help if it could get many sponsors. But we all know it's still again they're not good. This is here from a man. Ka says, "You're not lying, Ryan, about that one Russian. Actually, two Russians. You might.
I've had no one disagree with me on that, so I'm glad
Yeah.
that that's happened.
Yeah. We used to talk a bit, me and her. I know what you're talking about, but I think she's doing. She has a look that's I think is big and freaky. But I mean, somebody said like she might always take a top off and just compete in 212. But it's not going to work because I forget men and women always. I talked about this. Men and women are biologically different. You're not gonna put like someone like this is a good example like this, like someone like right here, you won't put Nick Walker on the same stage.
First of all, I want to see that. Let's set that up actually, because I want to see that happen. Because that's something that I would pay to see.
With Hella Trevino, and if Hella, she's or maybe Chris Bumstead, or you think about someone like Julia McCarr. This is a good example. We talked about how she had a great look to her, but I remember my man Keith said that Julia was moving out because of the fact she wanted to be a mom, and then they wanted to move up. But she said, she had to trim down. And I remember I did an interview with Tiana Flex. He says, it's not body breaking, it's body building. Here, this is from my man, so it says what's happened to Denise Rosowski. Well, she was very, and what does Brian think about breast implants?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't like them myself, but I understand why people get them. I totally understand why, because so many guests I talk to, when they talk about, losing their femininity, especially when they lose their breast tissue and it becomes muscle, a lot of them see breast implants as a way to sort of peacock and show off a little bit more of the femininity. And I understand that. I don't think myself, I think with all the hard work that you put into your body to sort of make it a massive part of it soft. And again, I know that more women in the general public get breast implants than do bodybuilders, if we're doing the numbers here. And it's a big thing out there. I think I saw something where it was like 3 or 4 million women have breast implants. So it's a massive statistic, but in the US alone. But yeah, I personally don't see the point, honestly. And trust me, as a guy who's felt real breasts and has felt fake boobs, there's nothing beats the real thing. Yeah, George can agree with me on that. But yeah, Tori, thanks for watching. Hi, yeah, well, but yeah, yeah. So I understand why people do it. I personally, obviously, what can I do about it? My opinion doesn't matter in this, everyone. That's one thing that people need to understand. Your opinion doesn't really matter on these things unless you're the person deciding things. And if I had the all-knowing power, I wouldn't change anything about the breast implants. I might not agree with it personally, but I respect people enough to make their own decisions, and I respect their decisions. It's just I might not personally myself be like, oh, I don't like that look.
Yeah, because me personally, I'm not a fan too much of it. It's especially some women have overdone it. Like one name I'm going to mention
the ones that have like the triple Z's basically, where they can't even walk.
Yeah, or like one like Alicia Young. I mean, I think it fits because it fits with her physique in a way, but then others.
Can I just say, Alicia Young has one of the best physiques that I've ever seen. Like she's one where when she didn't even place in the Olympia, that's when I was really starting to take a turn where I was like, she wasn't even called out, but like she was the best physique wise. She had the best physique out of anyone there, and she still kept a decent amount of femininity. I'm not going to say she kept all of it, but like she had that enough where I think that she was just so much bigger than a lot of people on there. That's why she didn't place. But when I saw that happen, I was so upset for her because yeah, she's definitely one of those where she just is able to put on so much size.
Yeah, because I know I did a video about her when she got in an accident. She said she was planning to come back last year, but now I think she might be coming back this year. I'm not certain of it. But I remember Isabel Terrell. I saw her when she competed Savannah back in 2022, and I know a lady who's friends with her, and I always pick her and say, "Tell your buddy stop posting." I like Isabel, but she just just always like you try to not to look at them. You try to like it's like sometimes with so you say, "How you doing?" My just like I mean, there's some pictures of these ladies that went to the Olympia. If you saw the video and stuff like that, they were hanging out with Rich Gaspari. They were hanging out with Iris Kyle. I saw even with they were having with Isabel. These ladies were ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, that's porn stripper level. I mean, but
Which that's a lot of guests, if we're being completely honest. So I understand that.
yeah,
That's a whole different conversation to have as well.
yeah, yeah, it's crazy. This is from a man K. He says that I think breast implants could be a bit harmful. Yeah, I can agree with
Yeah,
that.
they can be. Yeah.
Yeah, and also Alicia Young, aka Power Girl. Yeah, it's just about as women. I had a lady. Her name is Helen. It was Miss Herslip. Helen Herslip. I forgot about. She was on. We had this discussion. She had a double mastectomy. She had both her breast implants removed, and now she has fakes because it's got them tattooed. She tattooed
Well,
them.
I can totally see that. Like, if you have mastectomies, which I know has happened to quite a people, I totally support that too. That's one of the things where I'm like, yeah, obviously, like if you want to feel that you have feminine, obviously do that. But like the ones where it's just
Windy.
the ones where then if they do like a chest flex where you can see like abs basically in their chest because it's just so layered, that's what I'm like, okay, what are we doing here, guys?
Colette Nelson, that's a good example of that. She
That's what I was
looked
saying.
like she got she's a date Jumbo Palumbo. Here we got here. This is from he says, I think someone like Alicia Young could be remarkable for a reality show. And I think he did a thing like a while back when it like I think he had the muscle man shit. One thing could help if they can get some press agents. Someone like Andrea Shaw, Chelsea Dion. They if they could get press agents and help them, get on like especially Andrea Shaw. You're the 4-time Miss Olympia, the first Miss Olympia in almost 10 years since they kicked out women's bodybuilding out of the Olympia. You should be on something like CBS This Morning. You should be on ESPN. You should be
George, you want to
on.
know one thing that they could do though that would make them so much more marketable is be honest about the stuff that they do. If shooters come out and say, you know what, kids, don't try this at home. I do take performance enhancing drugs. I do a lot of stuff to supplement my body and to make it look the way they look. Kids, don't do this. It's like how the show Jackass. They have the warning before the show. Kids, don't try this at home. These are trained professionals. If you just say, I'm a trained professional, do that. I think the opportunities would open up for so many of these guests or for so many of these competitors if they just were honest with people and said, you know what, here's what I do. But you don't have to do this. This is just me living my life and do that. I think if they opened it up and they just made a statement, I think Andrea Shaw, yeah, if she were to just open up and just say, hey, you know what, guys, I take performance enhancing drugs. I win the Olympia. You don't have to do this. I'm not telling you to do this, but that's just what I live. But here's some tips on how to get in shape, or here's some tips to do all this. I think if they did that, their popularity would increase so much, but people are just afraid to face. There's not even going to be really consequences because I can understand like if you have a job where a lot of people when I ask them like, why don't you just admit to like your drug use, they say, oh, because I have jobs as either like nurses or I have jobs where if I, admitted to it, I get fired, which I understand that. But for a lot of these guests that don't have like the mainstream jobs, if they do like other stuff to supplement their income, I just don't get why they just aren't more honest about it. I honestly think it would be way more endearing and people respect someone who tells the truth way more than they respect a liar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you know what? It's best to put it like when we talk about the boy lady I mentioned, Miss SF. When her shit hit the fan, she should have got in front of it. That's the best thing to do. People wouldn't be so on your case. But you did what you did. There's a result to it and a cost to it. But you know what? If you were more honest about it, instead of just trying to stack shit on top of shit, you wouldn't be so hated. As Ben Lawrence says, overdone breast implants can lead to health risks as well, and some ladies keep getting them, especially. And one thing is, you should watch the show Botch. Don't go if you go out of the country to do it. Go to Europe.
First of all, don't watch that show before you're about to eat. And I made that mistake one time.
I used to like to watch it. Don't go to like South America or something like that. Some things that, like I know I follow Heather Trevino. She went down to some stuff and there's some stuff they can do it. But if you want to go get a board certified, if you're going out of the country, don't go down in the poor countries. Go to like Europe, Germany, they are specialists at it. They do good jobs at it. Um, this is from my man, Female Body Forum says, I want to see Netflix reality show with female bodybuilders who are moms. Call it Muscle Mamas. Sherry, Evie, Sydney, Sydney Reyes. There's a lot of ladies. They probably wouldn't mind. They probably would do it. Do want to do it. Also, this is from Lauren says, I remember that show Botch. Yeah, I think it's still on. I used to watch it. And also, this is from Warrior 2000 says, what up, Ryan? Thank you.
That's a great name, Warrior 2000. I wish I would have come up with something like that for my podcast.
So we won't say too much wrong with Ryan because I know he's a busy man. He got work. It's his day off. He's time with me.
I'm about to go see Doom Part 2. No, we can talk for a little longer. It's totally fine.
Okay. Anyway, one thing we talk about is I'm going to do is my Muscle Talk money. We talk about show us the money for women's bodybuilding, and there, if you can give Derek Lungford nearly $500,000, why not give people like Andrea and
hey George, she gets a car. What are you talking about?
They don't have the car anymore.
Oh, they don't?
No, last year because Jake, Jake is focused. He was focused on the Master Show. They don't have the car anymore. They stopped giving the car out. It's only just 50K. You cut out what it was because Jake's got to do Master Show. And he's also doing stuff. They cut out the other stuff like the video stuff, and you win for best poser. You just win best poser and most muscular. But I would say this $50,000 it's a good chunk of change, but if she can get I said this with Glenn when I did my first interview with him about 2 years ago. If she can at least come on $200,000.
I was just about to say $200,000. Yeah, that would be perfect.
That would be so. Like Sarah Vickers, she don't have to worry about $200,000. She just put into something else because hey, she has a rich husband. She always flying to the Olympia on Lear jet. And that's one thing. One thing about Sarah, I wasn't a big fan of hers, but I did respect what she did. When all was kicking out physique, she stepped up and said, "Hey, I want to put up the money for the physique division." And now she's put up money for shows like she still put money for the Pittsburgh Pro, and she puts money for the Texas Pro. If there was someone like that, especially if someone like Linda Murray, if Linda Murray could have backing like Arnold Schwarzenegger, he's a big name, but if Linda Murray could have someone to back her up, maybe expand shows, put up some cash money for these ladies, it'd be worth the time. And now with the point system's gone, there was supposed to be more shows, but now and shots to once again Jake, Jake, I want that money, but keep the gun. He just added a new show in California. And I sent you a link where they're talking about the two bros are going to do the Europe Championships in Italy. But it says 8 divisions. So I know they're cutting out fitness, and I believe most cutting out women's bodybuilding. That's why they're having that new show in Atlanta. Yeah. But here's the thing is, these ladies, it costs these ladies. I mean, I remember when I said, how much cost you a posing suit? So it's about a good suit, $2,000. I said, what? I mean, just your basic, pre-judging suits, like maybe $600 or $700. And then and your hair.
And for the guys, you can just wear your bathing suit that you wore as a kid, basically, and step on stage for some of these things.
Yeah, banana hammock and board shorts, and it's more expensive for ladies. I understand because the men bringing the money, but still, I think at least a little something because I think Margie talked about this where when Chelsea won the Tampa Bay, it was like $5,000, got $3,000. By the time you pay for your hair, makeup, cost of a motel, cost of Airbnb, cost of this, cost of that. If you win first place, and that's why a lot of ladies after the shows do the photo sessions with guys like her biceps and muscle angels and HD disease because they were willing to pay them. But the thing is, they own the property to that stuff. I mean, one lady talked about she had to sue one guy because like he was posting stuff in some stuff that she didn't post to be on, like some websites.
That's Girls with Muscle for you. That's why I made that post about him. And I got banned from that site, which I honestly could care less because I'll just use Instagram if I want to use images for people. I didn't really use that site that much, honestly. People were like, oh, you've been a member for 10 years. And I was like, yeah, because I made an account when I was in high school when I was, following some women that were at my gym that were on that site. And then I was like, oh, and I originally thought that everyone had consent to post their stuff. And then I learned like a year ago that they didn't. And I was like, okay, well, I got to figure out. And then when I finally decided to make these rants, I was like, okay, it's time to deal with Girls with Muscle now, because my whole thought on that is like, you need to have a way that these guests know that you're going to, post their stuff. Like if you're doing that and not letting them know, that is so shady. And like you said, I know a lot of guests too. I was messaging people like saying, oh, by the way, there's this site. And I a handful of guests messaged me back saying like, yeah, I know about them, and I appreciate them, and they help promote me and stuff, and I understand that totally, and that they do a good job in that way. But on the fact that you don't even let the people know that you're using your stuff, and then putting it on your website, and I don't think they make money off of it, but I know that there's like a tip system where like if you post guess that someone liked, then they'll give you a tip, where it's like that is a little bit making money, because I've had probably like a few dozen since I posted that people have requested to take their stuff down, and I've gotten messages saying like I'm going to threaten lawsuits against them because they're taking money. And I don't know about the whole money taking aspect, but like you need to tell people like, hey, can I use your stuff on this website? And it's fine, because I've had guests that then message me like, oh my god, they have literally every single post that I've posted on Instagram, like hundreds of images on there, and it's like, you got to at least ask people's permission. Like, that's what I do when I make a post about someone. After I'm done recording the podcast, I say, hey, I'm going to make a post about you on my Instagram page when the podcast gets published. And then they say, oh, yeah, that's fine. You can use, whatever photos I do. And I said, oh, and by the way, for the podcast, I use your images as well to serve as visual aids. And they go, yeah, that's no problem. It's that simple. So that's why I called them out, because they were, and they also said they say some really mean stuff about some of these ladies. And I think those ladies deserve to have the opportunity to hear that and just know that, I mean, some of these guys' usernames, they know. So, like, if you know that a guy's talking crap about you, you're not going to really want to,
Yeah. Well, I make videos called my comparison videos. I got the idea for a guy named, if you've seen him, his name is Mark Mass Muscle. He used to do, he was the one who inspired me. He was doing women, but he stopped doing because people said, hey, don't do the women. I don't want to see the women. And when when I started doing it, he was already doing the women before I started it. I said, well, that's a good idea. Women need somebody to talk about them. It's hard to get contact with women, say, hey, I want to use your image, but it's easier just to get it. Okay, I can get it here and there. I don't, picture stuff are, most times they're own rights to sell those pictures, especially the stuff like from the competition stuff, like I use. But I have ladies who saw the videos I make and said, I liked it. You talked about me. You didn't, like one lady I remember, and KL, I told him here quite a few times. It's one lady, I forgot who it was. I remember she posted it. She said, I liked the way you talked about it, but you didn't over sexualize about me. You didn't over sexualize. You kept it really respectful. You talk about me as a person, talk about physique. You didn't go like, oh wow, she has a big
that will win muscles. You so many brownie points. If you don't sexualize these guests too much, you can definitely, I can see them getting away with that. But then there's the sites that don't do that, and
yeah. The fact is because of for the fan base, those guys. Here we got here from that's a man from my man Warrior says Ryan was the first person who had Andre Shaw for an interview before George. You are a lucky guy. Yeah, he's lucky.
I got incredibly lucky because I was her first ever one that she did, interview podcast that she did, and this was like 2 months before. This was July, I think, of 2020, so right before she won her first Olympia. And I lucked out where she said, and then we scheduled one other time for her to come on like 2 years later, but then she had some other promotions. Like, she's very busy and she does a lot of stuff. Yeah. And again, like, I don't pay my guests that have come on, and she has podcasts that she does where they pay the guests. And I totally understand wanting to go and do that more. It's about making your money.
With me, I don't really pay. I had one woman reach out to me, said she wanted to get paid. If I pay you, I'm gonna pay you after the interview. I'm gonna pay you up front because hey, I'm gonna pay for work I just get paid. But what I do is I offer ladies, hey, I want to send you a care package of appreciation. And it's something because I can get stuff.
Will I get a care package, George?
Well, hey Ryan, just send me your address, and and I'll send you something. I put something together for you. It'd be something nice, nothing like I do for the ladies, but something nice. Because
please don't have it do for the ladies, George, because I don't want to get mixed.
I'm not gonna do it.
I don't want my girlfriend to open this and be like, "Who the hell is this George guy, Ryan?" And I'll be like, "Oh yeah, that's George for you."
Yeah, because I should ask you.
No roses, no wine, no nothing like that.
No, Ryan. It just looks like stuff that women use, especially. I don't send like a lot of unless I really know you're really cool and I know you like that, I will. But most times stuff like I remember Gabby Pena, she got a package from me about a couple of weeks ago. I interviewed her. She appreciated it because her and her daughter moved to the States now. They live in California. I interviewed a couple of years ago. And I sent her some money because I said like $40 appreciation, through PayPal. But I said, hey, I see owe your package. So she said, because she moved to California. I said, okay, I sent it to her. She said, appreciate it. I had some ladies there who told me, say, wow, George, this is stuff I really needed. I mean, when they say a while back, Andrea Sauer, I sent her a package for a birthday. That was last year, and it was like she asked me, was there any food in it? I said no, it's just stuff. I said, oh, my said her coach gave her a free week, get her a cheat week. Then for a birthday, I sent her something. The next year, I sent her like a package for stuff like beef broth. cereal, stuff like that. He said, "Oh my God, George, I really, And sometimes all my sister by like maybe 20. I remember Paige Sabrin, who I interviewed. I said like for her birthday, it was wasn't that long after the interview. I said $25. Those little things help in the long run. And like I said, if you're interested in a package, I have a list, like I said, and I go by the list,
I'm
and
fine, George. You don't have to send me anything. I will say the only guests I've had 2 guests actually send me stuff. So Rose Black, she's from Australia. She sent me some Vegemite and Tim Tams, which is Australian food. So she sent me that, and that was huge that I got a package all the way from Australia. And then I had a guest from the South who I like Cheerwine, but there's not that many places up here to get it because it's more of a regional thing. So I had one guest send me a 12-pack of Cheerwine, which was great.
Yeah, I remember after the interview, I interviewed Monica Perez. She gave me $40, and and that was she didn't have to do that. I mean, that was just because you see on here, I have my Venmo, my PayPal, and my Cash App.
I should start doing that.
Yeah, because I'm not monetized because I don't like me. I live on social security. I gotta be careful about getting monetized because
George, here's the thing: it's not even that much. My monetization, I think I made $160 last month on YouTube, so it's nothing really. So you're probably not gonna. The government's not gonna be coming after you and saying no more Social Security for George. He makes $1,000 a year doing this.
Yeah, okay, I might try that. Gotta be careful, but I might try. I mean, somebody told me that, but it's kind of. But here we got here. This is from my man. For female person, bye. I will listen to the rest of it later. Appreciate it.
Thank God that guy is such a loser. No, I'm just kidding.
Also, this is from Warrior 2000 says, "Shame I don't see muscle development magazines on these shelves at grocery stores no more." And folks, if you follow my channel, I was trying to find this show, Ryan, but I think I put it up somewhere. I forgot where I put it. It's my signed autographed muscle development issue by Andrea Shaw. This lovely lady who, if you ever heard of her, she has a company called Bad Rap. It's a new branding company. They do clothes for the women. It's like Bad. It's called Bad. It's body. I think Badass. I forget how she said it. Her name is Eunice. I'll send a link to you. You can check her out. And she was at the Olympia last year. She saw Andrea. She took the magazine and she had us sign it. And it was just, I had it somewhere. I would have showed it to you, Ryan, but I can't find it. It's already in the must. I got to clean my room or whatever else. But it was just great for someone like her to take the time out and to sign and send that to me. I felt, like, oh my God. She said it because I just turned 49. It was like the week after my 49th birthday. And it came to me like she told me, George, I'm gonna send it to you. And I have ladies send me, and that told me that you really, I really appreciate it. When I do these things for these ladies, and they do little stuff like they send me like my dear friend Miss Mary Alicia Flair, she send me Christmas cards every year.
That's nice stuff. That's sweet.
Andrea, Andrea Sawa, she sent me one. Her and her husband. Paige Summer sent some signed autographs because those little things, it really tells me that we appreciate it and what I'm doing. Here, this is from my says,
no, so I got this right here. So this is when I started doing the podcast. I was doing bands. This is one of the bands actually sent me their album for free after I had them on. So that's my one souvenir that I have from a guest too as well that I keep running. I haven't listened to it yet. It's been like 5 years, so I apologize for it. But one of these days I'll put it in and listen.
Well, this is from a man on Care says, "Send me a package, George, with food." Well, send me your address. I'll send it to you. Also, he says, "Damn, George, I didn't even get that. That was cool. She gave you $40. And like that's $40. That's it's not 50, but hey, 40 better than nothing."
I've been offered money by 2 guests, and I have taken it because I needed it, and it was nice. But I never asked for money. And the 2 times that I have had people be like, "Oh, I'll come on if you pay me." I honestly, this time I was like, honestly, no thanks. And I just say, thank you for your time. That's why I just respond to them. I just go, no, nah, I'm not. I don't really want to. Just thank you for your time. And honestly, the funny thing is that the 2 ones that demanded me pay money are 2 of the most irrelevant competitors out there. Like it wasn't even like they weren't even big names or anything like that. Like they were people that I don't even know if they were pros even.
That's things, but that's the one thing about it. As an amateur, you're mostly competing out of pocket. Like remember in the movie The Incredibles when Bob's boss talking to him says, "It's your job to keep us in the black." Yeah. So bodybuilders, most bodybuilders are competing mostly in the red. You're putting so much money into the sport where you're not getting much back of it. You're not getting no health benefits. You're not getting no back in. If you unless you like someone like the bikini girls or the wellness girls or some of the guys in the other divisions, they'll get money from the back end. But for women's bodybuilding, it's unless you do the her biceps or the muscle girls live, or unless you have a secure job, or unless you're like someone like Cheryl Vickers who's married to a rich man, it's a lot harder for them. Especially if you have kids. You know, I was talking with one lady. She just has some health problems. She was, she wanted to compete, but she has to take a step back. Some ladies that just sometimes they, like, you remember Mr. Tyke said she's taking this year off because she was like, I saw a female body job channel posted. She's been out of work for 2 years, so she has to go back to job because she has to, make money. Some ladies do the training stuff, and that's why they keep up with their pro card, because that pro card is like, it's like being like an electrician or a plumber. It's like being licensed and bonded. So, but it's just, if there was a way where which, okay, something little, like I like to sponsorship could help. If you're lucky enough to get sponsorship, I just interviewed Lady Big Jane. She just got picked up a sponsor. Couple ladies I also know pick up a sponsors, but the others, it's hard. And I tell you, this is why I reach out to guys like, hey guys, I know you're schmoes out there. You got pockets. You can spend money on sessions. You spend money on her biceps or OnlyFans. You could take maybe $200-$300 out of that and send it to a competitor. Say, hey, especially somebody you really want to help. This guy is somebody you really want to help. Say, you know what? This is a little something I want to send you. You can use it for whatever you need. You might want to buy some whey or pre-workout or pay your gym or pay your coach. A little of that, if just, and I know there's guys out there who are smokes who have deep pockets, but they're afraid of getting listed. Say, hey, what's wrong with you? You like these women with buff muscles? Are you gay or something? No, you just like a typical type of woman. They're still women.
Well, I'll give another solution for those people, the ones that have the deep pocket schmoes. I mean, let's be honest, you're not going to spend all of it. You're not going to live forever. Who really needs money? Just send it to me. I'll take care of your problems. I mean, you don't have to. I don't want you to have that burden of having so much money. And trust me, I'm all about, levitating burdens from people. So just send it to me. Then you won't have to worry about your money ever again. And, I'll keep it in good hands.
Yeah. So, send it to me too. Hey.
Exactly. Yeah, we can split it 50-50. Yeah, just send it. 50-50, remember, there's no such thing as too many zeros. I'm just going to say that.
Yeah, I'm like, I want to be like, I'm like Bruce Wayne without the Batman and the billions.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's just like I said, it's crazy how we love the sport, we're fans of it, and it's just the struggle of like I reach out to ladies also, and they some ladies say nah, they don't want to because they they're kind of afraid, but this is the opportunity to share your story. And you never know, you might be somebody that inspires somebody who's like going through what you're going through, who's been there, who like a lot of ladies will say, okay, like some ladies have interviews that they've been through spouse abuse, boyfriends.
That's a lot of them I've come to find that it's one of the things that,
also eating disorders, health issues, and they got about it because it was something that saved their life, not just their mind, but also their body too. And it's just, if I think maybe maybe I have those rose-colored glasses. I like to see good things for good people. I know there's people out there who are not good people, and I don't want to deal with them. But the ones who I see that are struggling, that can use the help, I'd like to help them. And that's why I tell them, hey, come on here, tell your story. You might find somebody who might want to help you out. Let people know the struggles of what you're going through. Make them realize that you're human. You're not just this big ball of muscle. You're a living, breathing person. You're a wife, you're a mother, you're a job, you're a father, you're everything about you. You can't forget that. This is for a man. KL says Smos are going to keeping it real. Yeah, keep it real.
Saying Smos aren't going to pay me, and I totally understand that, Claw. I was making a joke.
And Smos not going to do that. Yeah, we all know. But like I said, sometimes it'd be nice if just someone step up and say, you know what, I see that you're struggling. I know it's hard. And if I can do anything to help you, that's why I say, hey, I tell guys, I say, hey, if you have an idea where it's really powerful, like somebody, hey, I got something for you. No, not that weird shit. Tell us, hey, I have a plan. I have something that really help you out in your path. We just want to see you grow and evolve as an athlete. That's what we want to do. But you can't, like I said, you like how money might say, you can lead a horse to water, we can't make it think.
Yeah. So absolutely. Yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah. So, like I said, this is a great discussion we have here with
Mhm.
Ryan. I think he's a great guy. This is, and I know you guys, people out there, you feel butthurt by what he said, but here's the thing: is he's telling you what you need to hear. This is why you say some ladies at work. I can either tell you a pretty lie or ugly truth. It's best to know what the truth is, because the lie never helps you. It's best to know what's out there. Like you ladies out there who get in the sport, realize you're not gonna make a lot of money out of it. Realize you're gonna have to find ways to, if you have a job, good, but still you might have to find ways to help because that job made me need enough. If you take some time off, say, okay, let me take a couple years off, let me stack my chips. That's smart. I talk to ladies who live overseas and they would love to come here to the States where there's more opportunities for them. And they have to stack the chips. But if you can get somebody to help these people, that's good, you know.
Mhm.
But guys like Ryan and me and Female Bodybuilding Channel and even Female Bodybuilding 4 and KL, we are fans. And we want to see the sport grow. We want to see it survive. We just don't want to see it just be tossed aside. But we need the people who are in higher ups need to listen. It's the grassroots that
Mhm.
keep this sport going. It's these small, it's not the like the guy Nick Trichelli. I think he's in trouble for some shit. Dave Palumbo's always saying some stuff and that people don't like, but he don't
Well, I
get
got to point out
counsel.
too, everyone. I don't care if you were offended by what I said because it needs to be said too. So, like everyone that's like all butthurt and stuff like that, I don't care because it needs to be said. And the only regret that I have is that I didn't say it sooner. To be completely honest.
Yeah. And I think it's one of these because we're more like the outsiders. We're not part of the sport per se.
Mhm.
We're the outsiders looking in. And that's why they don't take it as seriously. If it was someone like if Jim Manion gets on stage and says, hey, we need to change the guidelines. If someone like Arnold says, oh, we need to change it. I mean, and I get to the chopper, if those guys say
That's your
something,
OnlyFans page, George. You just do Arnold impersonations.
do Arnold, yeah, do Arnold,
No,
I'll just
redub every Arnold movie and your voice is him. Just do that.
yeah, like we do the Arnold and the Einsteins and the articles and I can do like yo Mick,
That too.
yeah. So I used to pretty good, I used to do a pretty good reggae when I was younger, but more so like Trump now, yeah. But I think it's up to the athletes. They're the product. They're the people who come see. They gotta say something. It can't be. This is how one thing is. Black History Month. Black people, we had to fight for everything. I'm like 4 generations away from slavery. My family was sharecropping. My father did it. My mother did it. I did as a kid. Me and my brothers and sisters. We went through a lot. We had to work, and if you're not wanting to make sacrifices, then you're not going to get anything. You're just gonna, you be wondering like, why this person did that, why this person did that, because the fact is that person took a risk. Sometimes life's about taking a risk. Sometimes you're gonna fall on your face. And to say the quote, one of my favorite movies again, I know KL you hate, I don't quote it. When Thomas Wayne says to son Bruce, says, Bruce, why do we fall? To learn to pick ourselves up.
Mhm.
Yeah.
No, totally agree. And I agree with you 100% where the women have to be the one to speak up and make the change, but some of them are too scared to, but I just hope that eventually some of them do. And I know some of them, I've gotten, probably over 100 competitors messaged me after I posted that, just saying like, you said the right thing. You said what we're all thinking. And I just hope that it inspires someone to really speak up because yeah, this sport won't exist if the competitors speak up and say, hey, we need to make things change, things will get changed because then they just won't be able to have any competitors show up to a competition. So, I mean, I just hope that eventually, like I said, if I can prevent one person from, and everyone, the drug route, this is the last thing I'm going to say about that, the drug route, do your research, please. I don't care if I understand drugs are a huge part of sport, and I have nothing against people that do that, but just do your research because so many people just dive right in. Their coach says something, they just say, yeah, you know what, I'll just do it, no questions asked, and then they really do come to regret it. And I've heard so many bad stories about people that just weren't intending to, have those results happen, and it just happened because they didn't do their research. So weigh the pros and cons and then realize, like, hey, if you're willing to deal with the cons, then dive right in. I totally support that.
Yeah, and also, like I said, talk to specialists. Get a second
That, yes.
opinion.
Yes.
Really, like I said again, weigh the pros and cons. What do you get out of it? And also, look out. Make sure that when you get into sport, think about what you're doing. Sacrifice. It's a lot of sacrifices you got to make. A lot of time. I mean, they tell me, hey, they lost friends because they got into something that was their friends didn't understand. They relationships with their family were strained because their family didn't understand what they were doing. Understand you're doing something that's not very popular. It's not as well known. You know, I know somebody say they found out bodybuilding because hey, somebody told me, hey, you look pretty good. You want to do a show? And you know, that's how they got
I've
into
heard
it.
that dozens of times. That's literally how people get into it, is that a guy just walks up to him or someone walks up to him and says, "Hey, you look like you're in shape. You want to compete?" And that's literally their first exposure to the sport. Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, but understand that this sport is not your life. You know, take it as what you get out of it. This is what you know, enjoy the experience. Like do like someone like a Kai Green, how he got successful out of it. Dylan Bailey, even though she keeps lying that she don't take steroids. Arnold Schwarzenegger. You go
We
like
could go into a rant about that Dana Lynn Bailey thing. I mean,
yeah,
she's inspired so many women to get into the sport, but it's like
that's
just admit it. Just admit it though that you do. Like you
yeah,
don't have like Mike O'Hearn. Just admit it, guys. Like what's the big deal?
because they wanted this image because I was natural. Like that one guy, Kenny Ko. You saw he approached Teresa and Vosick. Teresa should have just, you know what?
We gotta talk about that because that was one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my entire
Yeah,
life.
somebody send me that. I mean, you
She
know,
set herself up so much in that one, and I love
yeah.
Teresa. I've had her on twice. She's a great guest. She always reposts everything. She's a huge supporter. But it's like, Teresa, next time you just gotta say like, yeah, absolutely, yes. She's a huge. I mean, everyone loves her. She's a great guest. But like Teresa, next time, just either say no comment or just say maybe I do, maybe I don't, or just don't even answer the question because like you dug yourself such a deep hole with that one, and you're gonna be mocked and ridiculed for that. And be honest, you kind of deserve it just because when you blatantly say I'm natural, like it's like come on now.
Come on,
I
I
understand.
remember. I mean, this is a true story. I used to follow a lady. We used to be Facebook friends, Brittany O'Vale. The year when she won her pro card was the same year that her and Teresa competed. I said to like this, Teresa looked more conditioned than you, and Brittany she unfollowed me. Teresa had a when she started out. Teresa was a lot bigger, but her you know she went over physique. And that was a that if she was going to go over physique, she should have dropped a lot of muscle. That wasn't a good move. I mean, I post stuff on her because I think she's a great physique. She's a great woman. I know my man Glenn. He did a photo session with her. She was down here in North Carolina a couple of years ago when he did that. You know, for her Amazon Fitness magazine. You know, people like her and Chelsea and you know Jessica Martin, who I you know who I feel like should have won Chicago over Christina Mendoza. You know, these ladies they need to accept the fact that your inner sport's not going to be very popular by the standards. You are doing something that's going to change the aspect of what people consider feminine. But you know what? You should fight for the right to have just as much recognition and respect as the man do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, everybody, you know, people are always going to be like looking at guys like Big Ramy, Derek Lungford, Heidi Chopin, all those other guys, and they're going to give respect. But it's going to be hard for women because the fact is people don't like the idea of women changing the ideology of what women should be. You know, I don't do a lot of content on bikini and wellness because the fact is, you know, everybody does it. You know, it's the vision that really don't attract me. You know, either as a fan or just it's how I see it like this. Wellness and bikini is more like this. They're a invasive species. Unlike women's bodybuilding, unlike fitness, figure, and physique, those divisions grew in the IFBB. Those divisions were more like brought in. You know, even though bikini can't start off like you know, even though bodybuilding can't start off like bikini, but still, it's not the same. It kind of evolved. You compare it to when how bikini shows were kind of like Hawaiian Tropic and you know, Hooters used to have bikini shows or those pageants, you know, like the beauty pageants. That's where they really came from. But now those women don't get to the level where they're not like that, and because they have evolved. Like if you know, like if you live in Florida, you know, like iguanas are considered a invasive species because they weren't there. That's not their area. Some plants, like I watch a lot of education shows, some plants are considered invasive species. You know, that's you know, I've done some interviews with I've done one, I was talking one lady, she's a pro compete bikini competitor. We were talking pretty good, we are pretty cool. But then I made comments, hey, I just, you know, and then she just blocked me. I said, okay, cool. I'm not gonna worry about it. But I would love to reach out to wellness, but then it's hard to get to those ladies, then it's to the other divisions. I've started expanding women in figure and also some couple of fitness competitors. I really want to really give them the opportunity to share their story. But if they're not to, you know what? Like Bernie Mac says, fuck them.
Yeah, I totally understand that. I have a lot of bikini. I honestly haven't been having that many bodybuilders on just because of my beliefs and but you know I'll talk to them if they want to, but if I think you know that they've taken things a little too far, then I'll just be like I don't really want to really promote that. But I totally understand that. And I have Lee Kirus. She's she's from South Africa, but now she's in the UK. I'm publishing that interview tomorrow, which is a really good one. Then I have Bree Marshall on the week after that, so that's going to be really good.
Oh yeah, Andrew Bree. That's
she's great. Yeah,
she's living.
This is the second time that I've had her on, and yeah, that one will be up a week from Monday too. She's really great, and yeah. Bree's amazing. Yeah, she was a
Yeah,
great
she has a great look to her. I think she's gonna move over to the physique because it looks like that's where she's going. There's some women that they want to like. If you heard in your Ann Moon's take a step back because of her, she has to go get knee surgery. But if you start, like I said, again, if you're evolving, I remember I interviewed Barbara Majan. She said because in France and some other countries they don't like the women with big muscles, and that's why they don't want to move up to women's bodybuilding. But if you get to that point where you're outgrowing the division, like people talking about how Coley and Bundy was getting too big. She should go, but she's not ready yet. She's still young. She's not got to. She was figure, but she evolves. But give her time, she might go. If you look at Michaela Aycock, how she was, figure and went to physique. You look at Ashley Jones. Even the lady who took third at Miss Physique. She did physique. She did women's bodybuilding for a minute. And you look at it's just some women have some aspects that might work in the division, some might not. But if you start growing, developing to the point where you're outgrowing the division, you need to go ahead and move up. What Carl can you do? You can do pretty good. Look at Andrea. Look at Angela. She earned a pro card as a physique competitor. Now she's number 2. Arsenio Barrino. She's number 3. Eventually Natalia gonna have to go up because there's no point because you know what, she's getting bigger. She was placed a second, like for second and third last couple times on the Shanique Grant. Shanique's supposed to come back. She was doing wellness. And I remember somebody said she wants Shanique to move up, but she said she didn't want to do that. Like Julie McCarr was, people talk about Dingley Bay, but look at Julie McCarr. She had a great physique, and she was a 4-time, Olympic champion. So she won 4 titles. If she would have kept on going, she probably would have. She's not that far from, from maybe surpassing, or if not getting to the next level, someone like Linda Murray or Iris Kyle. Or you look at Sid Gillen. Sid Gillen might even surpass Iris.
Mm-hmm.
And it just, here, this is from a man, KL. So it ain't easy not to get any guests, whatever division. I understand that. But you know what? Nothing, if anything what happens is never going to be easy. Mm-hmm. And also, he says this. He says, I think you should try to show more support at least.
Which, Claw, I've been nice the whole time, but dude, I have shown so much support to these women. Yeah. Don't tell me that I haven't shown any support, man. I have done so much for this sport and this lifestyle for just putting women out there. I understand what you're saying. That I should show more support, and I get a little bit, but like, don't say that I haven't shown support to some of these women because that's dumb. But yeah, I get what you're saying, but it's like, come on, man.
With him, he's more of a fan of the women of the.
No, I understand that. I understand that.
Yeah, he's more a fan of muscle women than he is of the sport. And sometimes I teach you some stuff. You have to learn. You have to understand these women. They have to deal with lots. I remember women telling me stuff like how guys can be weird. Some people can be abusive. They deal with a lot of stuff. And sometimes you have some women can be assholes. So you just don't want to deal with those assholes. But
I could name you 5 or 6 guests of mine that I'm never going to have on again. Yeah, absolutely.
You can tell me after the show you want to. but we as fans, we support you ladies, and you who generally, like I said again, I have ladies here right now. I'm here on my phone. I'm getting some ladies dropping something in my IG because I always see something funny or something in the spirits ratio, or I might get a call every now and then, or I might text them saying, "How you doing?" That and like I'm thinking of my friend Marianne. Her birthday's coming up next month. I'm gonna fix her a package and send it to her because she's going through some stuff right now, and I want to help her out a little bit. And I got a package for a lady who I owe because she's also going through stuff. So I want to do something to help. If those little things, just pay it forward, and we appreciate time,
I appreciate it as well. I was gonna say I can smell some hamburgers on the grill right now from I'm at my parents' house this weekend, so I can smell some hamburgers on the grill. Oh, and I get it, Claude, that you were talking about George. I was just trying to clarify that, but I totally understand that. But yeah, I got some burgers on the grill, and then I gotta go see Dune later tonight. It's been 2 hours and 10 minutes almost that we've been doing. This is the longest podcast I've ever done. Jody Miller goes an hour and a half normally whenever I have her on, and that's just because she's. I mean, I forget. I get like 5 or 6 words in there.
I will tell you, Eva Gomez. I think we went almost maybe 3 hours because she really was tough.
That's Joe Rogan material right there.
That is, I mean, usually the shortest I think I was maybe like 30 minutes, and that was with Renee Reef. And that was like, but
I try to do it the 40 to 45-minute range, and then if it's a good conversation, I'll let it go to like an hour, and then if it's a really good one, I'll let it go longer. But yeah, that's a 3 hour.
That's good conversation. But if you want to, we can always come back and review. Maybe have some people out here and maybe
absolutely.
talk.
Yeah,
but
we can come back on anytime.
I do appreciate your time, young man. I wish you best luck. Go eat your burgers. Enjoy the movie. Say hello to your girlfriend. Tell her that you didn't do anything nasty.
Well, she still appreciates my Valentine's Day gift, so I think I'm still in the clear right now. So
Valentine's Day for suckers. Only person that bought something for Valentine was my mama. That was it. That was my woman. And,
I still to this day buy a rose for my mom every Valentine's Day.
Yes, so this is someone told me a long time ago. He told me this. George, she asked me this. You just used to work with. George, you live with your mama? I said, yes, ma'am, I do. Said, son, do what you gotta do as a man, but always come back home to your mama.
Yeah.
And I miss
mine.
You
have one mom. Yeah,
you only have one mom. Women go, like I said, women come and go every other day, but you only have one mama. Yep. So, folks, I like to appreciate Ryan for coming on and just give us his end of his story and just sharing with everybody else. I talked to a man, Lawrence Perkins, going through KRL The Wanderer, Female Bodybuilding Channel, Muscle Women, Female Muscle Art. All you who come in here and watch this video, share, like, comment, subscribe, follow us on social media. If you want to follow Ryan, his social media stuff is in the description. He's on YouTube, IG. Also, you can find his Patreon. But guys, and I know you're out there. No D-pics.
No. How about honestly? Send them all, everyone. Send them all to me and George. We can take them. Everyone. No, I'll take George in as well. I'll forward all these. Let's get everyone. Let's get weird, everyone. Let's get everyone sending everything. No holds bars, no limits.
Keep it PTA. Pussy T's and that. That's for me. So folks, thank you for coming through. Appreciate your time. Good, thank you, Ryan, again, and hope you best of luck and enjoy the movie and say hello to your family and friends.
Absolutely, thank you. You as well.
All right. So, folks, this is me, always your page, aka the Emperor of Female Body Talk. Don't like, subscribe. I am out. Have a good evening and good night.